Good evening, everyone. This is the Tuesday, July 7th, 2026 regular meeting of the Flemington Borough Planning Board. This in-person and virtual meeting is called pursuant to the updated provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Both adequate and electronic notice of this in-person and virtual meeting has been provided by way of publication in Hunterdon County Democrat and Courier News newspapers beginning in January 2026. In addition, notice of the meeting was posted on the door of the Borough of Flemington Municipal Building here, 38 Park Avenue, and any handicap accessible entrances there too. Posted on the municipal website as per the new PMA requirements, provided to the municipal clerk and distributed to all persons, if any, requesting copies of same. This meeting is being recorded with both audio and video and may be broadcast. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to the issues relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and to form appropriate, a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. Let's everyone please rise as you're able for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Carroll. Mr. Campion,
Here.
Council Vice President Engelhardt. Here. Mr. Dashna.
Here.
Ms. Giffen,
Here.
Mr. Schlanger,
Here.
Mr. Schob,
Here.
Ms. Swingle. Here. Ms. Weitzman. Here. Mr. Hain,
Here.
Mr. Epple,
It's not on. No.
Mr. Pavers.
Here.
Attorney Kaczynski.
Here.
Engineer Clerico.
Here.
Planner Kyle.
Here.
Engineer Troutman.
Here.
Thank you.
Item 1 on the agenda, as always, is a period for public comments for items not currently before the board. If any member of the public wishes to speak, please raise your hand on Zoom or in the room here. Seeing none, item 2, mayor's comments.
I don't have anything, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 3, council comments.
Don't either, thank you.
Thank you. HPC comments, Dennis.
I don't have anything. We haven't had a meeting since the last planning board meeting.
Fantastic. Item 5, Melissa, Environmental Commission.
Same, we haven't had a meeting since the last meeting.
Happy 4th. All right. Item 6, professional reports. Kara.
I do not have anything further for you at this point. I will at the next meeting.
In terms of the escrow.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Bob, do you have anything?
No.
Jay, do you have anything?
Nothing for me.
Jim, not. We'll have for the next meeting, master plan and update on the other and everything else.
Correct.
Okay. Item 7 on the agenda is approval of minutes from our last meeting on June 23rd. Those were previously circulated to the board. Can I get a motion in a second on the minutes?
Approve. Motion.
I got one. Sorry. Any discussion, clarification, or corrections on the minutes? Please call the roll.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Council Vice President Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna.
Yes.
Ms. Giffen,
Yes.
Mr. Schlanger,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 8 on the agenda is resolution memorializing action in application 2025-02, block 49, lot 6, Spark Car Wash LLC. That was circulated to members of the board. That's been, our professionals have reviewed it. Applicants have reviewed it.
We have made multiple revisions. Everybody is in agreement that what you have before you accurately represents this approval.
Can I get a motion and a second?
You will have one.
Can I get a second? Second. Thank you. Any discussion on the resolution?
Yeah, so we're just gonna look at,
Oh,
This was the one I remember that was.
yeah, we have the resolution of who's eligible to
Yeah,
vote,
that's right.
correct? It should be that if we're eligible to vote. So. Do you do the resolution? Parents?
I do, Oh, wait. There it is. Or do you know?
Did you vote, on the application, is the question? Are you?
Believe so, but I'm not 100% sure. One's yes and.
Yeah, no, okay, I'm sorry, I don't have so many
I'll withdraw the second.
versions of this.
Okay.
Okay.
But let's,
If you still have to vote.
yeah, so, yes, vote, eligible to vote are those who voted for,
Correct.
yeah, for the approval, so.
Weitzman made the motion, Dashra made the second to approve the application itself.
And
Campion
Okay.
said no, he voted, did not vote in the affirmative, so he cannot vote, so that's what I have. And
Karen was into, Karen did this,
I just wanted to.
and Justin did too, and Susan did too.
Yep,
I just have to vote on one.
it's not,
I know Dennis voted.
this was on April 28th, so.
yeah, I'm trying to see if I have the minutes from the 28th. Sorry.
Yeah, I
wasn't at the April 28th meeting.
Just looking to see if I have the minutes. Yeah.
623.
6:28.
628. No, so 428.
Okay, he
428.
voted, for on the. At the public hearing for the spark,
Yeah.
he voted.
Okay.
Okay, so who else voted?
Arrow, Engelhardt, Campion, Weitzman, Schob, Schlanger, Dashna, Eckel, Kane, and Sabers.
Okay, so those,
Okay, so
so,
Engelhardt can motion in consecutive.
Second, right, and only.
and Campion is.
Campion
voted.
cannot vote.
Or Swingle. Right.
Well,
Correct.
of the names that were read, right? Okay, so is there any further discussion on, or questions on the resolution? So from that list, please call the roll.
Okay,
Yes.
Council Vice President Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna,
Yes.
Ms. Giffen. She's not on the list, sorry.
Well, I'm not eligible.
Mr. Schlanger,
I'm sorry, yes. It went out, sorry. Yes.
and Mr. Schob,
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
yes, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Hain,
Yes.
Mr. Eckel,
It's not.
that's not here, right, sorry, Mr. Papers,
Yes.
thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Sorry
I'll
on
make
that
those.
confusion.
Yes, that my
So the copy that circulated only had the motion in the second,
Yeah.
and the opposed didn't have.
Yep.
Absent and ineligible.
Yep, that's what I
Clean that
had
up.
here too. So, yep,
Yeah.
I'll clean everything up and we'll put the voting in there and I'll circulate it for
Signature, okay.
And that's why, because I wanted to circulate the red line. So everybody could see the changes and everything that was made, so I'll fix it.
Okay, item 9 on this evening's agenda is a public hearing. River Crossing YMCA Block 15, Lot 5, 64 Cavender Street, sometimes called the pool. So, we could have the council come forward,
Sure, you said item 9 or item 10?
9, well, I don't know what version of the agenda you're looking at.
We changed. Oh, it changed recently.
Is there, please, sir,
Perfect, thank you so much.
you're welcome.
You're here for the Y.
Yes, that's
Then
correct.
you are up.
That's,
I will say there was a previous version of the agenda, just so I could put this out there on the record. I was gonna do this under chair items, but just for clarification, there was a prior request by attorneys representing Captiva to request extension. They sent us a letter today saying that they withdraw their request but maintain their rights under the MLUL for any other things that they might be entitled to. So we confirmed that they are not on the agenda. They are not seeking an extension, so well, you have nothing to do for them. So that's probably the version you're looking at.
Understood.
No, it's okay.
So good evening, members.
If you do me a favor and click on the video on, just the video part of the Zoom. And don't touch the audio. Because the microphone will grab you.
Short thing. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Ruben Perez. I'm an attorney with Fox Rothschild. I am here on behalf of River Crossing YMCA, which is the applicant in the instant application concerning block 15, lot 5, 64 Kapner Street. The first part that I would want to just confirm is with the borough, with the board attorney, and we discussed this, just confirmation that jurisdiction is proper and notice has been given. We submitted the affidavit with respect to the notice. So we're good on that front.
Before you continue, conflicts.
Yes, is there anyone here looking at the application feels that they have any conflict, personal, financial or otherwise, that would preclude them from having a direct or indirect interest in this application and affecting their ability to have a bias vote on the application?
Thank you.
Right, the instant application concerns the property at 64 Kapner Street. Which is
Excuse me, can you pull the microphone closer? Thank you.
Sure. Is this better?
Yeah, better.
Perfect.
We'll need to move it. There you go.
Perfect, thank you. The applicant concerns, the application concerns the property, which is about 3.65 acres, which is in the public schools and park zone. The property is currently improved with an existing dilapidated swimming pool, related pool structures, parking lot, and drive aisles. The applicant currently is seeking a preliminary and final site plan approval and design waiver relief in order to reconstruct the pool, locker room, pool equipment, building, associated parking and drive aisles. The applicant is requesting certain design exception relief associated with the preliminary and final site plan approval. We have with us tonight various professionals and individuals that can provide testimony on engineering as well as the operations of the pool and similar operations that the YMCA has in other locations. So without further ado, I will call my first professional, which is Mr. Matthew Whiter.
So it's usually our custom to kind of swear all the professionals in together and then call them one by one. Is that okay?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So if we can have Trish, Michael. Perfect.
Raise your right hand for the testimony you're about to give this board, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yep.
And then just for purposes of the record, we're going to mark as exhibit A1, the application and supporting documentation. A2 will be the notice and proofs of publication. PB1 will be the Van Cleef Technical Comment Report number 1 dated June 29, 2026. PB2 will be Mr. Troutman's traffic report dated July 1, 2026. PB3 will be Mr. Kyle's planning report dated July 6, 2026. And PB4 will be the report from the Environmental Commission. References a meeting of June 16th. It doesn't have a date on it, but we'll go with the June 16th meeting, please. Take it away.
So do you have a digital version of that?
Not with me, but
Okay, was that part of the original plan?
it was not, wasn't, but I got it back.
It was not. Okay, so if you could turn it so that the cat is caught on one of the cameras.
That's the thing for the player.
Actually, that laptop camera is gonna be a little bit easier. If you can put it right like that. Everyone will see it. And, yeah, and if you wanna take a seat there, you'll point to it over your shoulder, and it's gonna work okay.
Right, so we'll mark that as A3, and then if we could just indicate what the title of it is and the date.
There's a rendered site plan, and the date on that is June 6th, 2026. And again, I'm just gonna ask that you pull the mic close.
If you could, for the board as well as members of the public in attendance, provide your first name and last name as well as your qualifications.
Sure, it's Matthew W. Witters,
Can you spell that, please?
Mattthew, and last name is Witters. I am a senior site engineer with Eustis Engineering. I've been with Eustis for just shy of 20 years, been doing this for over 23 years. I have a bachelor's degree in landscape architecture with a minor in environmental studies.
And you provided which specific plan?
Sorry, Mr. Perez, you're gonna have to speak into the mic as well.
And if you could also provide which specific plans you submitted in connection with this application?
It was the site plans that were dated. Glasses out here. Originally dated February 9th, 2026. They were the land development plans for the Flemington Raritan Community Pool.
And if you could also confirm, I have appeared before other land use boards in the state of New Jersey and qualified as a considered.
I have, yes.
Wait,
Okay.
hold on a
Yes.
second, so. You're qualifying him as a professional engineer?
Just as an expert witness, I don't have a license as a professional.
Okay, I just wanna make sure we're clear about the expertise.
Okay, and that would be in civil and landscape architect, civil engineering, landscape architecture, just wanna know.
And
exactly-
that's what he's a civil engineer, he's not a PE.
Right,
That's why I
it's
just
site planning, site design, stormwater design, grading, site layout.
Are you a licensed landscape architect?
I'm not a licensed landscape architect.
You hold any licenses at all?
I hold no professional licenses at all.
All right. With respect to the application, can you give us a general overview of what's being requested as well as the current state of the property?
Sure, as you'll see on this exhibit behind me, we're talking about 64 Kapner Street, which is, as we know, the Raritan Flemington Community Pool location. We're located behind the Raritan Fleming Intermediate School, which on the plan is to the right. Kapner Street would be to the top of the plan. And we have access to the site across the intermediate school property via an access easement and their rear driveway. The site currently consists of a gravel parking lot that's in kind of disrepair, an existing pool building, and the existing metal lined original pool for the site. There is a small kiddie pool on the right-hand side of the pool. There's also a small pump house and a few temporary sheds, I'll call them, in the back of the site. We have apartments to the north. There's a park on the left or to the west, and then to the south is an extension of that park area, but it's really consists of mainly wetlands and like wooded area.
And do you have some background that you can provide as far as the property's prior historical use?
I believe it was the community pool was started in 1963, I believe, and was vacated sometime around 2018. So it's been what, 8 years since it's been open. It has fallen into some disrepair. So the proposed application, excuse me, is to do a little bit of maintenance on the existing gravel parking lot, but keep it mostly as it is. We're gonna add a small asphalt area on the left-hand side, the west end, for some ADA parking. We're gonna add 2 ADA spaces and a dumpster enclosure on that end. There are interior renovations to the pool house. The dimensions of the pool house will remain the same. Mainly they consist of just upgrades to the locker rooms, the changing areas, the bathrooms, those type of upgrades. And then the majority of the work is on the pool itself. The pool is gonna be removed as in its current state and replaced with a concrete line pool. It'll be a lap pool. There's some minor modifications to it, but we'll also have a zero entry end as well and a recreation space. There was a version of the plans that had a pool slide at the very south end of the pool. That's been removed. The Y decided not to incorporate that into this plan. And then there is a small splash pad that will be attached to the main pool deck area for children to use. We're also doing some upgrades in and around the exterior areas of the pool house, just to make some spaces for the small snack bar that's in there now. There was a snack bar, we're gonna maintain the snack bar. And then there will be some upgrades to the pumps, the filters, bring those all up to code. The piping for the pool, things of that nature.
Have you had a chance to review and, as I understand it, also respond to some of the comments from the technical review memo of the borough engineer dated June 29th, 2026?
I have had a chance to review it, and we actually spoke with the borough engineer afterwards, just to run through some of his comments, get an idea, make sure that we were on the same page.
So I have an exhibit that I want to enter into. This is dated February 17th, 2026, revised July 7th, 2026, from Eustace with respect to can you provide some additional detail as to this specific submission?
Sure. Included in the original application package was a waiver request letter, which outlined 5 or 6 original waivers that are still on this list. But since receiving the technical review comments from the borough engineer and then the review comments from the township planner, or excuse me, the borough planner, yesterday we updated this list to include some of the additional design waivers that were required based on their reviews.
Okay, so what we're marking as A4 is the Eustace letter dated February 17th, 2026, revised through July 1st.
Actually, it was revised yesterday, July 7th. We didn't resubmit this prior to the meeting. That's an old version.
This is new one he's about to.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
No, that was because the planner's review letter was received this morning
Understood.
or yesterday.
So I have 10 copies here. So if I can please.
So I'm gonna need you to read much, if not all of this into the record, at least so that our remote board participants know what's in here. You don't have to read every single word, but like, so they know what's in here. This, if you don't have a digital version of it. At the moment.
Sure, so I can do that now.
However you want to give your testimony, I just want all the board members to have the benefit of knowing what's.
So you didn't email it out to anybody?
No, I did not. Well, I mean, email it to my attorney, but
You didn't
Not
email
the
it to
borough,
like, or
no.
secretary of attorney so that we can forward it to them?
correct.
Could you, when you're going through this letter, could you identify which was on the original waiver request list that we've already received versus which are new? That way at least the members line can distinguish between your old letter and your new letter.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll submit an electronic copy after the hearing tonight. And I did keep the new or updated requests separate, so they're under an added heading and on the second page of the letter.
Great.
That's so I can keep track of it myself. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Good for you. I can run through the added if everyone's.
I would say that if looking at it now, just for the benefit of those who are remote. The first 5 waivers were in the original application. Am I understanding that correctly? Correct. So maybe you could talk through what's on starting on page 2 and 3 in terms of added July 1st, 2026, and just, I think that would be helpful.
Sure, there are a total of 5 added waivers. The first one is from the RSIS, which is referenced in the borough ordinance under section 1600A. And that is, the parking lot shall be surfaced with bituminous, surface. The second, number 7, is also from 16A from the RSIS, reference. And that is that parking lot shall incorporate perimeter, interior curbing, along with curbed interior islands. The third, number 8, is from 1633 C1B, and that is for parking illumination. That's for the maximum foot candles within a vehicular use area. We are seeking relief to exceed the 1.0 foot candles that are permitted within that vehicular use area. And then on the last page, got the first variance actually is from 2627 E5. And that is for a non-residential use fence to permit a fence up to 8 feet in height. And then the last one, which is variance number 2, is from 2637C. And that is a request for relief from the borough's stormwater requirements in lieu of providing the 20% reduction in, or I'm sorry, the 20% credit, we'll say, in the impervious cover, where the required impervious cover for this district is 50%. We were trying to hit 30%, and I think that we did. However, there were some questions in the borough engineer's review letter about some of the existing surfaces, whether they were gravel or lawn, that I haven't had a chance to investigate further and provide that additional information to the review engineer. So the intent would be to not need this relief, but since we're here tonight, I'm going to request it on the grounds of that we are reducing the impervious cover regardless of what's considered gravel and lawn in the existing parking lot, and the primary focus is on the existing parking lot in an effort to not have to provide the required stormwater management. And those are the 5 additional relief items.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could, Board Attorney and I were just having a sidebar here. So with respect to variance relief, so reading through this section, fence, it says that should be considered as a waiver from the ordinance standards, not a variance. However, 2637C would be a variance. Problem is, the board needs to know what they're granting relief. So we need to have specifics. We can't just say, well, we're giving you a variance and, whatever. So I think we're both a little hesitant to just say, we're going to consider some relief that we can't qualify. So we're just a little concerned about that aspect of it. So I don't know what to do with that.
I hear you. So let me ask Mr. Clarko, what do we? This seems to be in response to your review letter. Were you able to figure out how close they are to 0.30, or is this not knowable? I'm looking kind of page 5 of your letter, number 3.
Yeah, the outline is page 5, item 3, correct. That was my general assessment of it. Obviously, I'm not testifying in terms of the accuracy of that. This is my general assessment of the areas of. Well, the issue we have here that part of this submission package is an existing survey of existing conditions. That surveyor, in surveying the property, identified certain areas of the property as grass or as a gravel surface. I made a site inspection of the property, just a drive through, and noticed that there was areas where overly a generous weeds were growing through a lot of the area. And I didn't get out and dig with the ground or look at anything like that, but that's what I would perceive that the surveyor identified as grass areas. And what I noted in my report and what the applicant did as part of their assessment, when they did they reduced the size of physically the size of the parking area, mainly coming off the west end. And then they brought it more compacted together and they put gravel in an area that the surveyor said was grass. In the applicant's assessment of the why they thought they met the 20% reduction is that they didn't consider that grass. They considered it stone. So as I outlined in my report, there's an area where the surveyor said was grass that was becoming stone. They just treated that as they were taking a stone area and regrading it stone. In a similar fashion, there's another area on the property that was listed as grass. And they're indicating that that's actually stone converted to grass. So there's a twofold thing going on there where they didn't hit the target. Now you're asking me what I thought, how far off the target they were.
I mean, right, your note here, I'm just making sure I'm understanding this correctly. Their plan indicates a rough approximately 11,137 square foot net loss of impervious surface, which would bring you from 0.3812 to 0.30. You're saying in your note that
it's about 7,500.
There's another, it's actually 7,500 feet, which may not get us there. Is that, so Mr. Perez, is that what?
But we're trying to see if I actually said what that would be.
I don't see it, you said it would not meet the 20-point action.
Yeah.
Somewhere I calculated that, but I didn't remember.
Okay, so, please.
I was gonna say to add, and after Bob and I spoke, that was one of the points that we discussed at length on the phone conversation. I actually stopped by the site on my way here today with a shovel, because what has happened on the site is that just given some of the time that has passed since the site hasn't been used regularly, there are areas that have gravel that have overgrown. So with that shovel, I was able to go out and confirm it wasn't 100% of the area in question, but it was actually a little bit more in certain areas where I didn't think there was gravel. So what we had done when we submitted the application with our technical plans is looked at historic aerials and didn't just sort of shoot from the hip, but instead tried to figure out historically where that gravel was used and had since overgrown, and essentially there's still a layer of gravel underneath that could be used. So that was what our plan and our stormwater impervious reduction calculation was based on. What Bob has asked us to do is update the survey with that additional information. And I'm happy to do that. Just gonna take a minute, some time to do that.
Okay, so that's good to hear that you want to work with our courts professional and get it. Is the testimony that your goal is to get to 0.30?
Yes.
And you make modifications to the plan if it turns out that field conditions may need to be adjusted based on weeds versus gravel? Is that what I'm hearing?
That is what you're hearing, yes.
Okay,
So we're not technically asking for a variance from that requirement tonight. We're saying that we understand that you haven't met the information Bob's asking for to show that it does, but you will, as a condition of approval, get to that 0.30.
Yeah, sir, we'll have to provide stormwater management.
okay, so, well, yeah, so here's.
That's part two.
That's part two. So there's two things. The point that Mr. Kyle is raising is that you can't just say, I need a variance. You have to say, we are 0.30 is required. We are providing a plan that gets us to 0.3 something or other. You need to give us a number, and the board has to vote on the specifics of that. It sounds like that number is unknown at present. Bob made a guess. You were out there with the shovel. Like, we don't actually know exactly what that number is, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's number one. And it sounds like you want to get to 0.30. And you're saying also then, if you can't get to 3.0, we've got to deal with stormwater, which is our ordinance. If that becomes the condition, we have nothing in the submission to deal with the stormwater, so we can't proceed until that work gets done to see what's what actually the stormwater plan is for the site, and given wetlands and other things, it's not necessarily straightforward. So that's, I think, the concern that we're where we are at the moment. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm trying to figure out how to respond.
Well, I think if you can, I think what you're gonna say tonight is, we're gonna be at point three, we're not asking for relief. If we get to a point where you go out there and figure out, can't get to point three, you're either gonna do stormwater, or you're gonna revise the site plan to trim some areas of other impervious to get to point three, right?
Yes, that's a consideration, absolutely.
Okay.
And I guess then the question is, would the board want to see what those stormwater was, or will we leave it up to the satisfaction of board professionals, and then if there's an issue, to come back to show the board?
Right, and I think that this board likes to see stormwater systems. I think if it's a matter of trimming a few feet of gravel, I think the board is willing to trust our professionals. When it comes to stormwater systems, I'm not speaking for other members of the board, but generally we tend to want to see that stuff. What it's gonna look like,
I kind of,
so,
yeah.
if that's.
Yeah, that's you guys, just raising the issue.
I will add that it is a must for us not to have to include stormwater management on the site, both from a timing standpoint and from economic feasibility standpoint. Right?
Understood. So I think that seeking relief from 2637 at present is probably not something you want to be asking for, it sounds like.
That will withdraw.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I appreciate you humoring me for a minute.
No. This is why we ask questions and try to get things where they need to be.
And I should add that we are absolutely willing and here to work with the borough and the borough professionals on every aspect of this project. We understand what the site means to the borough, what it has meant to the borough. I know Ruben we've talked on the phone a few times and on Teams meetings, he actually attended and had fun at the pool after school and things when he was younger. So it's definitely understand how important this site is to the borough. And I can state, and we'll state later, that it's equally important to the YMCA as well.
Yeah.
So at this point, we can go through some of the technical comments from the technical review memos.
Yeah, we can do
Depending
that.
on how you want to proceed, either with the borough engineer or the.
So usually what we do is, if there's no other direct testimony, if you just want to go through the letters, we usually have our board's professionals ask questions. So if you want to go through it first, that's fine, because we usually do testimony, follow-up questions from our board's professionals, questions from board, questions from the public is usually the order in which we do it. So, if you want to dive right into the letters and address things that are open, that's great, and then our professionals can just jump in with follow-ups if that works.
Yeah, I think we'll do testimony also just to kind of provide some additional background on the operations as well, so you get a general understanding of the.
So you're saying Mr. Witters is done?
For now.
For now, okay, so if that's the case, do any of our professionals have additional questions for Mr. Witters on his testimony?
Just looking at the exhibit, Matt, so the site plan shows the pump house with 2 sheds. This exhibit only shows 1 shed in the pump house. Is the other second shed coming off?
Yeah, the second shed will be coming off.
Okay.
That's correct.
Alright, so when we say second shed, let's identify which one.
So that would be the western shed, the shed to the west of the pump house. You just said some impervious right there.
We weren't counting that as impervious because it's a shed on gravel. So I was trying to be conservative.
We understand. Any other questions from our professionals?
No.
Questions from members of the board?
I'm sorry, just I have a couple other ones. Matt, I'm just gonna go to my site plan comments. Will another witness address the well, the electric meter, the propane tank, all that?
I can speak to that.
Okay. Let's run through that and what's gonna happen with that.
Sure. As far as the electric meter, that's probably gonna remain. That's to be determined yet. But if it does remain in its current state, it's right next to where the well is. We'll definitely be able to screen that, either with something structural or I know there's some landscaping around it originally. I don't know if we want to put that back. But you had mentioned, I think, a fence of some sort in there.
Yeah, something, my only concern there is that asphalt walkway is literally right next to that pole where that
Right.
meter is hung, so, you know, kids running around, we don't want anybody getting in there and, you know, having an accident.
It's definitely something to take into advisement. It's just we have to coordinate that with the utility company, as far as where that meter may end up. If we continue to use the transformers that are pole mounted back there and the poles stay in their current location, that still has to be vetted with the utility company.
Okay.
As far as the propane tank, that small propane tank's gonna go away. They're gonna put a larger propane tank inside of the fenced in area back where the pool improvements are, and I think that is shown on the plans that were submitted. Shown as like a P, I believe it's a big long. Yeah, it's right behind the splash pad for now. It's sort of a placeholder.
And is that just for the cafe?
It'd be for a cafe,
Hot
but
water?
it's been sized for potential future use, if we ever need to provide heaters for the pool.
Okay.
There's no plans to heat the pool initially, but that's certainly something that could come down the road. So the thought was let's include that in the sizing of that tank.
Okay.
The ultimate goal of the Y would be to run a line all the way out to Capper Street. There is gas available on Capper Street. We did confirm that with the gas company.
Right, it's an expensive run though.
It's not in the cards at this moment.
Okay. When I was there yesterday, so that large pine tree that's kind of in that island where the thing splits, I noticed a lot of the roots are up on the surface where the driveway is. So they've kind of just come out of the dirt. I think a lot of the dirt and gravel's just been kind of wiped away, washed away. Do you have any thoughts on how we could address that? Because I wouldn't. It's a good tree to keep, so I must make sure the roots are protected.
I think we do a little bit further assessment on that and I drove through there today and saw where the roots were and the rutting and everything else that's occurring through there. Certainly part of the improvements that I didn't know how to show on the plans, but we freshen up the gravel. Because there are potholes in that gravel just as it hasn't been maintained, so that we do want to get that gravel and where the planner where Jim is talking about is through here. Certainly want to address that though. I did see that and I think I like the comment. So I'll have to have one of our landscape architects take a look at that. And see what we can come up with. If it's just putting soil and gravel back on top and kind of refreshing that space, then I think that probably works the best.
Okay.
There was a question about, you had mentioned the well. I know that was also in Engineer Clerico's letter about whether we were going to leave the well open. The intent is to leave the well in its current state and use that well to fill the pool. We do want to connect into domestic water for potable water for inside the snack bar, inside the restrooms, just to have something a little bit more consistent. The well hasn't been run in some time, from what I understand, so we've got to test it and make sure that it's going to yield what we need to fill that pool. We also have talked to sewer and the sewer department and the water department about this upgrade to this facility and making sure that they can service this facility, whether we're using domestic to fill the pool or not. That didn't seem to be an issue with the water department. So our next step is going to be some additional correspondence and coordination with them. We will submit plans to both for their feedback on layouts and connections and details and things like that.
Okay, I think if the well's gonna stay, if we're gonna fence around the area where the meter is, I think we just include the well too. I mean, I noticed there's a hatch on top of there, that's just, I think that's just asking for trouble, so.
There's a hole in the side of the wellhead too. I saw that today, the concrete. So again, that's something that we have to assess moving forward.
Okay.
Jim, is there regs on wellhead protection? Does that apply to something like this?
Not if it's not a public water supply well, then
This is considered a private well,
right?
Well, it's an existing well. There are regulations associated. You're indicating it's a potable source. I think it would have to be if you build a pool. So there are criteria associated with that. I'm trying to again, it's an existing, well, in that location, whether it has any historical rights associated with it or how it's permitted. I mean, is there a permit for this from DEP?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Into that.
You have to investigate exactly what they have there.
I think the intent is to hire a well company to come in and start taking a look at the well and to make sure that it can be reused. Again, we have no idea what the current state is and whether the pumps are gonna have to be replaced. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're seized at this point, not being used. So again, it's an investment that the YMCA needs to investigate a little bit more.
We could put some sort of condition in there saying that they need to provide us with proof of what the requirements are based upon who they hire. And then satisfaction of those requirements so that we can. See both of them.
Yeah.
We're not exactly sure what they are right now.
As I noted in my report, standard operating procedure with the board is that you're gonna require some sort of sign off from the Borough Water and Sewer Department. Yes. I'm sure they're gonna have a lot of other questions. They're gonna have both a well source and tied into borough system. I'm sure there's gonna be a concern about intermixing of, water and their separate systems, and they ain't gonna allow it or for what purpose and whatnot. So
Bob, that's correct. The private well, and if we service them, they cannot be mixed.
there's gonna be a lot of technical issues associated with that. Again, I heard the board, but I would think your normal condition would be it's subject to getting an official sign off from the Borough Water Department, the sewer as well, but basically the borough. My understanding is this facility has sewer lines that are connected to the borough system, and there's no proposal to change any. But again, it is a upgrade on the facilities in there, so you would want the sewer department to sign off as well. But the water is probably more unknowns at this point associated with the water than with the sewer.
Couple more. I think we need to talk to Matt about the waivers. I don't think we're gonna hear from any other witnesses regarding that. So let's talk about the filtered buffer requirement first. My observation being out there, most of what's there is deciduous. As you can see in the photo in my memo, it's visible. I think it's really up to the board. The requirement is that, we have basically a visual barrier there. Which if the pool's only operating seasonally from, say, Memorial Day to Labor Day, we're gonna have leaves on the trees during operational times, so we might have some flexibility there. I think at a minimum, if the board considers a waiver from the strict requirements of the filter buffer, we should plug in some additional trees, just that, you can see there's gaps, you can see through to the apartments there. And I don't think it's a whole lot, but it's really up to you guys, what level we feel like we need to buffer this. Because the back of the apartments face directly, they're higher, so they're kind of looking down to the parking lot. Those are mostly the backs, and there's garages, I guess, underneath the building. I don't know if that's just the back.
There, I was back.
Some of them, some units do.
If I'm not.
Porches.
There's only windows.
Right, I'm sure.
So, and we're not talking about second, third floor windows, even the first floor windows, because there's a change of elevation.
Right. So do you guys have any thoughts about, or are you guys willing to maybe add some vegetation to that section? North of the parking lot?
Yeah, I think we're fine with the condition on that waiver. That would be to the satisfaction of the borough planner as far as the screening along that property line. I absolutely agree with you. There is a lot of invasive in there.
It's
mentioned for all
There's so many vines up in those.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is it's been 8 years since the site was maintained, so now you have all these vines and invasives growing up into the trees, and there's a lot of multi-floor rows there too, which we want to get rid of.
Right.
Do you guys have any thoughts on the composition of, well, look, we're gonna add trees, we might as well add evergreens, right?
Right.
So, I think we could kind of pick some of the locations where we need to fill in and then supplement, because it would be a lot to, put evergreens along this whole line. We're talking hundreds of feet of buffering.
I think we're all kind of, feels like we're all, please jump in if anyone disagrees, I think it feels like we're filling where there's gaps, if we're filling in with trees, make them evergreen, so this is a citrus evergreen mix. Okay. The satisfaction of
I think what's important is that people on the community pool side don't have direct visibility into private, like private residences.
Right.
And so, you know, maybe even filling in with some evergreen shrubs between some of the deciduous trees, right?
Yeah.
But by the time the leaves come off, the pool's closed, right? You haven't got anywhere else the site's gonna be used for,
Right.
right?
Well, right now it's gonna be used for a pool.
Right.
And I don't, you know, look, even if you eat the pool, you're not swimming in it in November, right? So it sounds like I think we'll hear some more, but it sounds like it's seasonal use. Maybe a little before Memorial Day, maybe a little after Labor Day, but for the most part, it's, you know, during the summer months when there are leaves on all those trees and.
Yes, but the question, because
Yeah.
they want extra additional candle power and only a pool, well, why do they need that?
Yeah, I think we'll hopefully hear some more about that on the operational side and the need for that, okay. Matt, do you have any thoughts on? So we do have the waiver, for the modules in the parking area. The point I made here is this is an existing parking lot that they're renovating. If we're building new parking lots, we probably won't see that, but I think given what we're doing here, I think the waiver in this case from that standard is appropriate. But of course, that's up to you guys. Parking lot trees, so with 36 parking stalls, they're required to provide 12 trees. There are 4 pretty big oak trees in that existing area. It's kind of hard to tell, almost looks like it's a landscape island, but it's not. There's gravel under there, and the cars are going to be parked essentially right there. Look, I'm not a landscape architect, but when I looked at the trees, they're starting to decline. You got one of them has a lot of dead in the top, but you know they definitely need some maintenance at a minimum. But I just wonder if we're kind of just going to continue this problem, because now there are going to be cars parked here in 8 years. So are we just going to continue this problem? And these trees are just going to decline and die eventually. Should we really be thinking about another approach here that makes a little more sense? Take those 12 trees that are required in the parking lot, put them out on the perimeter instead. You know, because this isn't really wide. You have one bay of parking and you have a drop out on either side. It's 60-something feet. So it may be more prudent, given that this is gravel, and there are going to be cars parked literally right on top of all the roots, to maybe just deal with this issue now, so we're not dealing with it later.
Well, so the requirement would be what, 12 trees?
Yeah, they get credit for any tree greater than 5-inch caliber, and most of these look like they would meet that requirement. So really, if these were gonna stay, it would be 8. Right.
And some of those trees will help with the previously discussed screening, too. If you're saying to push them to the outside.
Any new trees, I think, should go on the perimeter. Let's not put new trees. I mean, there are trees that will work here. I pointed out a few, and a lot of them, those 4 are actually on our list for shade trees too. Those would work. They work better. They work well in compacted soil conditions like we would have here. Just oaks don't really like that all that much. So we could, if we want to have trees in the parking lot, I'm suggesting we use one of the 4 that I identified. If not, if we're going to push them out to the perimeter, we can really use any tree on the list if we want.
Just to be clear, you're proposing that the trees that are in the parking lot now get moved and then out to the exterior, or keep the ones that are in the parking lot?
I think they need to be assessed. I mean, again, I'm not a landscape architect, not an arborist. I'm just telling you what I saw when I was there yesterday. They look like they're in decline. So, and I wonder if that's going to get worse once the site's reactivated and cars are parked, you know, in close proximity on top of the roots. Was the point? I mean, you guys have any thoughts on it?
I think, and I talked to the Y prior to the meeting about this, and I was out there today, and I agree with you 100%. 3 of the 4 are, I mean, they're propped basically, the tops are dead, and which is definitely going to hurt the rest of the tree. There's that 4th one that's sort of there on the west end. That's on in the foreground of the photo in your letter. I think we're fine with providing the trees and put along the perimeter, like moving them out and getting them from the interior of the parking lot. It helps with site safety as well from our standpoint, security. I mean, it gives you a clear line through, without any type of obstruction, from the pool house out. So we're fine with that condition to push those interior trees to the perimeter.
You're also losing some potential parking spaces in there because you're trying to preserve the trees, so.
That's
To
correct.
the extent your plan called for the elimination of those trees, you might gain some parking spaces internal, which again might let you cut down on some of the impervious coverage around the perimeter perhaps.
Yeah, we pick up 3 parking spaces, to Bob's point, there's 3 parking spaces now that are Xed out on the plan that we were trying to save those trees. Just actually to be steward of the site, but you're absolutely right, they're in decline. And we'll probably lose them in 10 years anyway.
So Justin, you unmuted. Did you want to jump in? Looked like you had something.
No, I just want to make sure that, we're replacing and adding, that we're not just reducing, and taking away just for the sake of adding 3 parking spaces.
I think, Justin, my observation was these trees are gonna be an issue down the road. 3 of the 4 are not in good condition now. The 4th one, might be okay, for the next few years, but eventually with cars in close proximity and parked on the root zone, it's probably gonna die, in the next 4 to 5 years anyway. I think I'd rather just deal with the issue now, remove the 4 trees and then replace with the 12 that are required, by the ordinance.
Around the perimeter.
But on the perimeter, not in the parking area.
Okay.
But isn't Justin's comment in addition to what's required for the new parking lot? What I think what Justin was saying is, in addition to the 12, replace the 4 in kind, so that would be 16. Is that what you're saying, Justin? I don't want to.
That would be preferable, but not, if they're only required to put 12 trees, according to the site plan, then, I can't ask them to, add another 4 trees. Like, are they hitting that number? Is 12 the number that's required, according to our?
Yeah, 12 is not required. They could get credit for the 4 that are there, so they would only be required to provide 8 additional. So we're gonna do, I think what I'm proposing is the 4 come down and we put 12 in, but we put them on the perimeter of the lot, not in the parking area.
So the only concern I would raise then is, are these, so 3, certainly 3, you're saying 3 of these trees are really just not in great shape?
Yeah, I think Matt agrees. I mean,
So, what's the state of the 4th trees? Like, is it?
I mean, you can see it in the picture of my memo. I mean, that one doesn't, so the other 3, the tops have all died. There's a lot of dead branches sticking out of the top, usually not a good sign. That 4th one is.
Can we send someone out to go take a look and see if they are really in bad condition?
Yeah, okay, because if we have a mature healthy tree, we don't want to take down a bed.
Exactly.
Right, so that's kind of the.
If we believe that it's going to die after the site gets reactivated, and we only require them to put in 11 trees, and then the 12th one dies, then we're stuck without that tree.
It's not a great situation to have gravel right over the root zone, cars parking and driving over the root zone. I mean, eventually it's gonna be a problem. It's just not a good scenario.
Does it make any sense to take the 3 down, leave the 4, still require the 12, because we know it's going to happen, and then leave it up to the Y?
I like that idea.
Appropriate to take it down if it's 4 years. I mean, I don't know if that creates any sort of liability to them we're concerned with, but
if we put in the resolution that we acknowledge that tree is not gonna make it, and at any time when they consider it dangerous, that they can take it down,
we still have the 12.
but we have the 12.
They have to replace it in kind of equipment or something.
Wait, our ordinance requires them to replace, like down the road at that 4th one.
No, if we already are requiring them to put in the required amount, which is 12, and they take down 3 and they leave 1, so now there's 13. But we acknowledge that we believe that at some point that tree is gonna be sick. We still have our 12, which is required in the ordinance, and we allow them to take down the 13th when they need to.
Again, it becomes a a timing issue. I'd rather take down 4 trees than 3 trees than have to come back and take down a 4th 5 years
you could
later.
take down.
Okay, so why don't can we add in the resolution that if those trees are going to come down and it's going to be less than that, 12 required, instead of putting up new trees, if you don't want to put new trees up, to pay into the tree fund per tree.
No, we want.
No, we want
all
to-
trees.
They have to
We
put-
got three trees.
They can put 12 on the site. I don't think that's the argument.
Yeah.
There's room on the perimeter. I think that's.
But the question was, do you want to take down a tree that may be viable for the next 5 years? I think that was the point.
But 5 years in the life of a tree, especially an oak,
Yeah.
is nothing.
Hey.
It's nothing.
I-
Not having a tree
So,
for the last
alright.
150
So,
years.
so I think you're.
But then that only means that they're required to put 11 trees.
No,
No.
12.
There's still
12.
Oh, they're still required to put the 12 trees. Okay.
All right, I think the applicant's read the board.
Now, are they gonna, and it is clear, are they gonna clear out all the invasive lines and everything that's stuff in?
We agree to that condition to the satisfaction of the borough, the borough planner, we'll say.
Jim, what's on your review?
Sorry, I'm kind of dominating.
No, this is important.
So let's talk about the lighting. So this is an oddity that we saw with Spark. We have this maximum intensity standard that with LED lighting is almost impossible to meet. You're always gonna have an exceedance of the limit right under the fixture. So the point I was making was these fixtures are some of them are 80, 90, 100 feet away from each other. So what we're gonna have is the lighting is not gonna be very uniform, because you have bright spots right under the light, and then it quickly diminishes to 0.1 foot candle, right? So what I wanted to understand was more about the operations, to the mayor's point. So in the summertime, it's light until 8:30, 8:45, right? So what are the hours of operation that are gonna be proposed? How does that line up with the need for site lighting? Just what's the real issue here with?
I think we could bring someone else up from the Y to testify to the programming and the time and the kind of the daily routine of the site, if you will. The only thing that I would point out before that happens is that not only are the foot candles highly restrictive, the maximum foot candles at ground level are highly restrictive, but there's also a requirement that we can't exceed the height of the building with our lighting fixture, the mounted height for the lighting fixture, which in this case is 14 feet. So I've got to put lights in at 14 feet high. So we're exaggerating that intensity that you talked about directly below the fixture in that case. And I can testify that I did the actual lighting design myself, that I looked at a plethora of different LED lights, and this was one of the smaller Garco lights that I could follow with the least amount of photocells in it to try to create the least amount of hot spots directly below. I'm certainly willing to look at additional makes and models to see if there's something better out there, but knowing that the major manufacturers that I've used in the past, there's really not much different than what I'm going to find with this Garco. To add additional lights based on that 14-foot height maximum, I don't know that I'm going to be able to get away from those hot spots at I think they're 2.4 foot candles at this point.
Right.
I did run a little bit of analysis before we came in, and the code says the maximum height of the building or 25 feet, whichever is less. So in this case, we're pinched by the 14-foot height of the existing building. If I could raise those lights up to say 22 feet, which is where that sweet spot was, I get a much more uniform light distribution across that site with the same amount of lights. And again, I wanted to try to keep the light fixtures, poles, bases to a minimum for a couple different reasons.
I'm gonna get that.
Yeah, so it's just trying to be as efficient as
So
possible.
let me ask the question then, Jim, is it design standard or variance relief
Designs.
for the height?
Right.
So could you give us your thoughts on would raising the height of the poles be a better solution than what is being proposed, or is?
Yes. Quick answer, yes, and I'll tell you why. So, yes, we have residential uses to the north, as you saw, if you looked at the lighting analysis, we're zeros all along. The other thing is these light fixtures are not near the boundary, right? So we can always have shielding on the back to make sure that the source of the light's not visible. 22-foot. 22-foot light pole, I think in this application is not offensive in terms of the additional height.
It won't put any spill into the residence.
No, because you can always shield the back of the light on that side. So, but I don't think it's, LED lighting is so directional anyway. You don't get like you used to with metal halide or high pressure sodium where it just goes all over the place. You know, the diodes can be focused very specifically so that it's not casting back towards the residential property line, which is really the area of concern. So I would say I think what Matt is saying is if you can raise the height to 22, it's going to provide better uniformity and it's going to reduce that intensity right under the light.
It's the residential on Vanel and the residential of the apartment.
Yeah, but I think either way, we're trying to focus the light really on the parking area, so they can be shielded on both sides if necessary, but the houses on Vanel are pretty far away. And obviously this isn't gonna be lit in the winter time.
Well, I mean, we're gonna get testimony about operations to
Yeah,
figure out the
yeah.
hours, yeah.
Well, right, but honestly, my preference would be go to 22, leave the number of poles, and then we just need to be sure that, you know, we can shield them, the light source isn't gonna be visible. I think that's a better alternative because it'll reduce that 2.4 to what?
It was one. It was
One,
nose.
22
Yeah.
feet,
So we could be conforming if we allow for the height.
Correct.
but we would need a waiver for the height.
No, it's a waiver for the height as opposed to a waiver for the light intensity.
Six, as my kids would say, 6'7".
It's terrible.
Sorry.
I need
So-
that to be in the.
Shows my kids too. So I think that is a better solution to go to 22, consider granting waiver for that. It's gonna result in a more uniform light pattern in the parking area.
What else you got in the letter?
I think I'm done.
Alright,
I'm done.
you're done. Jay, you have any questions for this witness?
Not yet.
Alright, Howard, if you have any questions for this witness? Board members for questions for this witness and the testimony given, I'll go remote first. Dennis, are you good? Justin,
I'm good.
Karen,
No questions.
Mike,
I'm good.
alright. Mark, no, no, and Laura, please.
Just with the propane tank, I just want to understand a little bit more. It sounded like it was gonna be near to, I could have assumption this was being near to like the pool area. Can you just describe that a little bit more?
Sure, it's gonna be, as the current plan has it located somewhere in this general area, which it would be screened. There's an overall theme with our plan that I'm trying to keep our land disturbance to less than 1 acre, so that I don't have to go talk to the DEP about NIPDs. So really in all honesty and transparency, the location of that tank is based on trying to keep it where we're removing existing concrete or existing pool feature. It will be, I'll determine where that tank has to go once we understand the need for that pool area. If we ever do heat it, then I understand how big that tank has to be. It hasn't been sized yet. I just based it on, I think it was like a 1,400 gallon tank or 1,500, something like that. Those standard dimensions, just so that I had a placeholder and it was on the plan. But so that's, I'm gonna say the final location is to be determined once I understand what the need and the capacity of the tank is.
That was me not knowing about propane. So is that a common thing to have it located in and around the area of use, or is it usually kind of move further away?
Not usually, there's usually a setback required for an above ground tank. It may end up going underground. I think that's actually what it's called. Now I'm thinking about this, it's called out on the plan as an underground tank. So the only thing that you'll see above ground would be that sort of 3 foot diameter black hood, we'll call it, with a lid, dome lid on it, and then underneath that would be the meter and the regulator and the valves and everything else. So the intent is to put it underground. That helps with the setbacks, but there are setback requirements, state requirements for this based on the size of the tank as well. So it's not sort of a uniform thing.
I'm sorry, can I piggyback on that? I thought I heard you testify earlier that the tank was going to go in the building,
I said inside the fenced area.
inside the fenced area.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
No, well, that's why I'm asking. Thank you.
The 1,500 gallon propane tank is like a small submarine.
Yeah.
That's a big tank.
It is.
Like a residential oil tank is 250.
Yes, typically you would bury 1,500 gallon tank. You wouldn't put it on the surface, especially here, right? Because you're gonna have people kind of walking around that area in the grass, so.
And that's mostly where my head goes to, is from the safety perspective. You know,
Sure.
I'm sure there's requirements to make sure that it's safe, but it's gonna be in and around for part.
Well, typically, the hatch that Matt was describing has a lock on. So you're gonna lock that so nobody can get in with where the regulator is and all that. Okay. So.
Thank you. The other question that I had was just around the well. So I guess, I heard what you said about, trying to keep the existing well, and with Mike talking about just the potential issue from a mixing, right? So I guess my question was, what's the backup plan? If there's no ability to use the well, I know it has to be assessed. It's not like there's a lot of work that has to be done there, to try to understand what use. Then the potential conflict, like what is that backup?
Our backup plan is to go 100% domestic from the water department here in the borough, and that's not out of the ordinary. It sounds like a big task to fill a swimming pool. Doesn't happen that often throughout the year. I'm sure that one of the YMCA members can speak to that more than I can. There's and just to educate the board a little bit, and I've been involved with 2 or 3 other YMCA's with internal pools, interior pools. There's a backwash process that happens throughout the day with the filters and everything else. So that all has to be vetted with the sewer authority. There may be a need for, and I think that's on here, a tank to allow any particulate matter to fall out after the filters are cleaned and everything else. So there is a process that needs to be undertaken. From what I understand, the Y has hired, they haven't started yet. We're gonna get through the planning board meeting tonight, a pool consultant to do all the pool design. The pool that you see on this plan is the pool that's gonna end up there, or something very, very, very close to it. It's not gonna change much. But that'll all be sized, all that'll be worked out once those sizes and gallon capacities are known. We'll get on that. And then we'll start having those conversations again with the sewer authority.
And then I think this is probably a question for somebody else, so keep me honest here, but I was wondering, we talked about the operational like time of day a little bit and time of year, but it sounds like we're kind of assuming that. Is that something that somebody else is gonna identify?
Yeah, we'll have that. I'm not an expert in that. We'll definitely have an expert come out and talk about that.
Okay, appreciate it. That's it.
Just adding on, so you're putting a propane tank by the one area over there, and then the pool pumps are where?
There's an existing pump house back here.
So like if you put heaters in, the heaters would go back near the pump house?
That's correct, yeah.
So since you're doing all this work on the site, would you be putting in gas lines, or was this something now you would come back and say, because that's gonna expand with the heaters over there?
We'll run, I think the intent is from the Y to run what we need to now for potential future development. Yeah.
Underground future,
Yeah.
just have it capped or whatever.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. I should add, it is on the plans that we are adding a second floor to the pump house. The pump house is undersized for modern pumps and filters and everything else. It's kind of like a cellar almost the way it is now. You walk, it's subterranean, you walk down a set of stairs to get into it. It's kind of below grade, sticks up a little bit above grade, about 3 or 4 feet. We're going to build a wood frame, second floor to it so that we can expand the footprint that way. And the reason for that is that we are with the wetlands behind us, we're trying to be sensitive to that environmentally sensitive area and don't want to expand that footprint for that building in that particular area. The only way to do it is come up vertical. And it's not going to be that big of a deal, but Just wanted to point that out.
And if they were going for this town water for drinking for the kitchen area or whatever, there's the closest tie-in is where?
Actually, the closest tie-in is closer than I thought. There's a set of water valves that sit right here. There's an 8-inch and a 10-inch line that come into the school property and then snake their way through the school property. So we come all the way up and tie it in the driveway. And that's how it's shown on the plan.
Okay.
That's based on some preliminary, as I said, we had some preliminary conversations with the water authority and the sewer department, just to make sure that this use wasn't restarting this pool up wasn't gonna blow them out of the water as far as needs and services and everything else.
Okay.
And when you said here, just for the record, that's the access drive on Kapner?
Off of Cap, yeah, yes.
It's actually shown on the site plan.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
Water
it's
valve
absolutely-
connection is shown, yeah.
What would be the overall height of that building to the end of the second level?
As far as the pool house, or I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
pump
the pump house. We didn't bring our architect with us tonight, so I will pretend to be an architect for a split second. I'm gonna say it's probably like a 10-foot addition on the top. And there should have been elevations included in the packet as well. I don't have any dimensions on that.
There's no dimensions on the drawing.
It's essentially a second story on it, so I'm gonna say 10 feet clear inside, but it looks like it's got a little bit of a pitched roof to it.
Just curious if it was like higher than the.
No, it'll be two stories, but it's buried 3/4 of the way, 80% now.
Good.
Yeah, I have a question. So the first question that Mr. Perez asked you was, what were the historical uses? You never answered that question. You just gave 1963 and it closed in 2018, but you never actually talked about the uses.
I couldn't speak to what it was before the pool. I'm not sure what that use was. I do know that the pool was open in 1963, just reading it off the sign
It
today.
was a swim club.
Yeah. But I'm not sure what the use of the site was prior to
Team?
that. Oh, I do know that, and there's a Facebook page, I've done some research on it, there was a swim team, it was certainly open to the community during the summer, but I haven't done that type of research, that's outside of my expertise.
Shared camp with the Flemington American Camp,
Sure.
gave some lessons. Have anything else?
No, I'm speaking to the point that I didn't do any research on the history of
So it was
how it was
basically,
run.
I mean, basically it was a swim club that had the normal swim club things, like a swim team and a snack bar and a camp and swim lessons and open hours. Do you know what the hours of the pool?
I don't know. Now, I know there was a dive team because there's a diving end. They were gonna take out and 2 diving boards, 2 of the spring diving boards there. I think there might have even been a high dive at one point.
There was a hot tub.
Right. But beyond that, I'm not sure how that will function prior to us being involved.
Oh, actually, accessory building height limit in this zone is 28 feet.
You're right. Oh, we're not
gonna be anywhere close.
No, we're Thank you.
Oh, that's all. I just wanted to see if you could establish what the original uses were.
I do have members of the YMCA that may be able to speak to that.
Okay.
All right, no other board questions? Okay, any members of the public with questions for this witness in the testimony given?
I have a question regarding the procedure. I have some comments and concerns from residents of Benell Street. Myself, I lived here when the pool was in operation.
Yeah.
But I have picked up some specific questions here that might be prudent to answer. But do I lose my time later to?
So if you want to ask questions, please feel free. I'm gonna need you to just identify yourself and use the mic. That'd be great. And I'm just gonna say, make sure there are questions.
Yes.
And then you will have your time later for open comments.
My name is Thomas Brescia. I live at 52 Benell Street. My question first is about the designation here of on this drawing. We said, this is a park, and that is true. There's some park area there. There's also a footpath that leads to the larger area of the park on this side. I live on Benell Street. Even in the summer, I can see some of the lights from these apartments. In the winter, clearly, but even in the summer, So I'm concerned about the lighting, how it will be directed. Is the lighting going to be onto the pool area also, or just onto the parking area?
So the parking lot lighting that we discussed earlier, hoping to be able to raise the light poles up to 22 feet. We're using low wattage LED lights that the source can't be visible, which is going to reduce the glare and everything else. I'm not going to say that you're not going to see lighting peek through there, but we'll do our best to reduce that impact. As far as lighting around the pool, we are showing some short lights, so like 10 foot, 11 foot. I don't have the number in front of me. Pedestrian lights, I'll call them. So they're smaller. It's more for security. The intent isn't to have after hour at dusk, parties and things like that at this facility. So you're not going to see much light after dark coming from the facility.
Yeah, I'd assume there'd be some things that the lights would be turned off, say 15 minutes after the pool closes for the evening, or some rules like that.
Yeah, so that'll probably, we can, if it's not given, if that question is not answered by the operations person, I want you to ask it again. So, yeah.
Can you explain a little bit more about the 8-foot fence seems to be on the side facing the apartments? On Bunnell Street, there was in the past, I've lived there, as I said, for a number of years, when the pool was in operation, noise coming through. Are there any plans for any further fencing, buffers, more vegetation to reduce noise coming towards Bunnell Street side? Most of this discussion has been talking about the apartment side or the north side.
There isn't a plan right now to add vegetation along the outside of the fence on the Bunnell Street side. You asked about the 8-foot fence. There's a 6-foot fence that runs around the perimeter now. We're requesting permission to raise that to 8 feet, just for better security, because we have people to break in pretty easily on a regular basis. But as far as vegetation on the south side of the site, there are no plans right now to enhance any of that vegetation, especially not inside of the pool area, inside of the perimeter fence.
Regarding noise, will the Y before this development, well, I guess when the development is built, or how, let me rephrase this. Are there any noise studies that could be conducted perhaps on an annual basis after the pool is in operation to determine? I saw the houses within 200 feet of the property are getting notices. There's a number of houses, all the odd numbered houses on the north side of Bunnell Street. What actions can you take to ensure that the noise levels will be acceptable when the pool's in operation at peak times?
I'm not sure what the borough's noise ordinance is. The intent will be to meet that. I don't expect to exceed any of those allowable noise levels at the property line, but I can defer to the board, or I can defer to the YMCA on answering that any further if you need something further on that.
Mr. Perez, did you have somebody who was going to talk about other pool operations? Is that one of your witnesses?
Yes, we have Ms. Feingold who can talk about operations with respect to the YMCA, as well as some of the intended programming for the site.
But is there going to be my question is, there's going to be somebody giving testimony about other pools or just the Y in general?
Correct. I believe we have testimony with respect to other pools as well.
Okay, so they can also answer that.
That's my questions for the moment. Thank you.
Just set it on the table there. Thank you, sir. Any other members of the public with questions? Okay, so we usually take a break. It's 8:24, we've been sitting for a while, so let's take a 5-minute break now. Because it sounds like you're ready for the next witness. Kind of reset if it be. All right, so perfect. Okay, I'm gonna bring us back into session if you could. Ed, would you mind just recalling the rolls to make sure everyone's back?
Yep.
Mayor Carroll. Here. Mr. Campion.
Here.
Council Vice President Engelhardt. Here. Mr. Doshna.
Here.
Ms. Giffen.
Here.
Mr. Schlanger.
Here.
Mr. Philip.
Here.
Ms. Swingle. Here. Ms. Weitzman. Here. Mr. Hain.
Here.
Mr. Papers.
Here.
Attorney Kaczynski.
Here.
Engineer Clerico.
Here.
Planner Kyle.
Here.
Engineer Troutman.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Perez, your next witness.
Yes, I'm going to call Ms. Leinenthal. If you could provide your first name, last name, and your current role with the River Crossing YMCA.
Sure. So good evening, everyone. It's Tricia Feintel, and I am with the River Crossing YMCA. I serve as Chief Operations Officer. F as in Frank, EI, and as in Nancy, THEL.
I'm sorry, what year?
I am the Chief Operations Officer for River Crossing YMCA. I've been with the YMCA for 28 years. I've been with River Crossing YMCA for 15.
All right, and for the first question, can you provide some background as to what is currently anticipated as far as programming for this location, as well as the contemplated operating season?
Sure. So just to start out with, we are incredibly grateful for this opportunity to bring the Flemington Pool back to life. I can tell you that when we entered our feasibility campaign, which is just interviewing, potential donors, community supporters, both the Deer Path branch as well as the Flemington Pool. What came out of that feasibility study was, when are you going to get the pool open? Never mind the branch. When are you going to get that pool open? Having 2 children myself, I live right in the Grandin neighborhood on Muncie. Having children myself that are 13 and 9, and hearing all the excitement from the families of this pool reopening is also a blessing to be able to do this. We are experienced in both managing and owning pools, managing outdoor pools, one specific in Coopersburg, Pennsylvania. It's called the Silico Pool. And I can tell you that in managing that pool for the past 2 years, we believe that we are experienced and versed in understanding what it is that the community needs. And we did break that down, breaking that down for you this evening. So you are correct. You're looking at a Memorial Day to Labor Day operation. We would not be open Monday through Friday until the children are released from the school, ideally the Flemington Raritan School District. Once they're completed with their last day, we'll move into that Monday through Friday operation. Our hours, again, I'm basing this on what's been successful at the pool that we're currently operating in Coopersburg. Generally, you're looking at a 6 a.m. to an 8 p.m. generally. Sunrise in the summer is at 5:30 a.m., which gives our morning lifeguards the opportunity to come in the light that they need to be able to open securely. As well as closing at 8 keeps us safe, and also in dusk, close to that daylight dusk hours, so that we are closing in a safe timing as well. Your weekends, again, generally, most outdoor pools are around that 12 to 8, open to the community with morning programming that happens there. As terms of programming itself, we of course will have, the majority of the time will be recreational use. We are very excited to bring a splash pad. If you are on Ladies of Hunterdon County, as I am, a splash pad is highly, highly desired, comes up all the time. And there are none in this area, at least not within a, half-hour drive time. So to be able to not only offer recreational swimming for our, what we like to call cradle to retirement, right? To be able to offer for our littlest ones the splash pads with families, as well as then for our seniors to be able to come in for our water aerobics, et cetera, during that recreation time. We will be offering swim lessons. We will have a swim team there. And we will also be offering free to the community what we call our Safety Around Water program. I think that is going to be one of the most incredible things that we do at that pool, where every single child in Hunterdon County, but specifically, I believe we're going to get from the walking district, do come in, they receive a free swim test. If they do not pass that swim test, they receive free swim lessons from the graciousness of our donors to get them swim safe. You would be surprised, we have 6,000 children in our summer camp program right now. The percentage of those children that fail the swim test hover around 25 to 30%. So It's a surprising statistic, but one that we're very eager to serve there at the pool as well. So we will have fee-based programming, we will have a swim team, and then we will have our donor-funded programs there too.
Can you provide some testimony with respect to memberships? So, what does that typically look like? Are there any limitations with respect to memberships, depending on the site?
Yeah, so right now, and there is a crisis that's happening nationally around outdoor pools are closing. The Flemington pool is an example. It is happening everywhere because you have local boards that are managing pools and don't understand or do not have the capacity to save for a rainy day in a CapEx program like we have at the Y. So what we are seeing is a healthy membership is anywhere hovering between 450 to 500 units. So that's rooftops or households. Now, what I can tell you, again, not only in Coopersburg, but at other outdoor pools, you don't see 400 to 50 to 500 families there. It's just like the Y. You come in and you join, and honestly, a successful member comes in twice a week. That's a successful person who's exercising. What we're seeing, again, at the Coopersburg pool is we're hovering around that 450 number, but in any given moment in the pool itself, at peak, you're looking at 30 to 40 families. We would love to see greater numbers than that. Your most successful outdoor pools hover around that 900 level. I don't see us ever getting to be that high. In fact, I am understanding by board members that, where the pool was near and dear to their hearts and they were members as well, that there was a waiting list, and that makes sense. I can see why there was a waiting list for the Flemington pool in its heyday. Because you just, we want to be careful of crowds and parking, et cetera. But again, a healthy unit type is anywhere between that 450 to 500 households.
And then lastly, with respect to any deliveries or loading, unloading, what does that typically look like for pool operations in other areas, and how would that look like at this site?
Yeah, sure. So you're going to receive like a weekly chemical delivery of chlorine and acid, if you will. That is once a week for less than 1 hour in a size truck of like a box size truck. That also typically does happen in the very early morning hours, if not by off hours, but that's your typical chemical chlorine delivery. There will be a snack shack there. Again, that minimal interruption in terms of deliveries. There are freezers, refrigeration, et cetera. So that's not as frequent as that weekly chemical delivery.
Board professionals.
I have one question. We talked about opening Monday through Friday once school is out. Which school are we talking about?
I would just go by I know all of our elementary schools have different times. I would most likely lean into Rufus's timeframe because one of the pieces that we would be talking about is a collaboration with Rufus for sure. Yeah.
I think that's important in terms of if things overflow from here, it's nice that the school's not busy.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. And the other thing I'll mention too with the Y is every single member at Scannon does fall under our Raptor program, which is the same as the school districts as well.
What is that?
Raptor.
So Raptor is, again, we're scanning your license, if you will, for any type of child predator, et cetera. So when you go into any school here, your license is scanned for that purpose. We do the same thing. We have that technology as well. It's child protection policy.
Jay, did you have other questions around operations? Maybe
that was pretty thorough. I guess
pass the mic so there.
I think that was pretty thorough. My main point I already brought up was just that overlap with the school operation, and I liked hearing that you're not going Monday through Friday until school's out, and that you will stick, tie into that specific school schedule.
Yeah. We're also understanding that there was a partnership with Rufus where the students did also use the pool in the months of May and June. So we would again extend that as well.
Yeah, they did that, right? The camp class and like the ending school year celebration.
It's great.
One question, the application that's being presented, they're showing that they're providing you required number of parking that would meet our ordinance standards. Based on your experience, is our ordinance standards adequate for the type of programs you're operating?
I would say, based on my experience, yes, by traffic activity. However, we have every intention on, again, collaborating with Rifus to see if we could share parking lot as well.
With the school?
Can't speak for them yet, but that is, we would look at a reciprocity model, maybe something, again, like having the students come over, being able to use it complimentary in exchange for hopefully summer support and parking.
Would there be summer swim meets?
So what I would recommend, if in fact, right now we have our swim meets that are occurring, we are a part of a summer league. Those swim meets happen out of the Deer Path branch. So we can do that. And what I mean by if we can do that, if for some reason the school says, no, we cannot use the lot, then I would make that recommendation to keep the swim meets at the Deer Path branch. I wouldn't move them over to the outdoor pool.
One of the waivers you're asking the board to grant, from a site plan standpoint, would be that we would require a parking lot of this nature to have curbing around it, which serves a number of purposes. One of them obviously is to keep people from parking in areas they're not supposed to park. Lacking that in this particular application, one of the concerns might be that if you had an event where you needed overflow parking, and albeit even if you have an agreement to park up in the school, people are people, and that's 200 feet away, and
Right.
going off on the event. Would you have a methodology of controlling that?
We do. So we have this happening right now out of our Doylestown branch because Central Bucks High School is literally, we share the parking lot. And so you would be surprised by the amount of students that come, they park in the lot and walk to school.
We know exactly.
Yeah, so I know, I heard 7-Eleven, it's like $500, you can get a spot there. I'm like shocked by that. But what I can say is what will not happen is it's not cost effective to have a staff member standing there policing that. However, what we can do is upon joining as a member, we can, gain the license plate number. We can look at hang tags. So if in fact, as staff do a walkthrough versus surveillance, we'll be able to note the license plate that was violating the parking and then be able to get in touch with that member. Yeah, and we'll make sure that upon registration that there's a handbook and rules and regulations attached.
You're good. Anything else from our professionals? Okay, board members with questions, remote folks first. Dennis, you're good. Karen? Let's see, Karen, have a good, Mike?
No questions.
I'm good.
Justin, you're good?
I'm good.
Start over here, Mark.
I'm fine, thank you. A couple, I'm sorry, the name of that other pool was Cooperstown?
It's called Salico Pool, so it's the Southern Lehigh Community Pool. It's in Coopersburg, Pennsylvania.
Is that in a town or is it?
Yes.
It's in a town, is it similar to Fleming?
Very much so, yes.
And, so you talked about the hours of operation starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, is that just for your staff?
So believe it or not, there are plenty of adults, especially if they're part of a master swim team, that love to swim in outdoor pools. So what we do in Coopersburg is we begin at our 6 a.m. opening is adult lap swim only. Then in comes the swim team around that like 7:30, 8 hour. They get a couple hours. You do some swim lessons, slight break, and then we open up for rec swim. But your early morning hours is adult lap.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a noise ordinance at 7, so your chemicals, I'm not, my champion may know better than me, but you do not allow like garbage to be taken before 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't think we allow deliveries to be before 7 either.
Okay.
So you talked about the chemicals coming in early.
Yeah, so we can make sure that, again, like we can control that in terms of timing of delivery, for
And
sure.
where's the garbage on the site? And how often is it gonna get picked up?
It's in the, I won't speak to frequency of pickup, but it's on the western side of the parking area. They're
Oh, yeah, by
constructing
the
near the
meter.
handicap.
It's over by the meter, and how often is it gonna get picked up?
I would say weekly. You're gonna need it weekly, especially with the snack shack. You're gonna need a weekly garbage pickup.
We need it more, we need it more, we get it more,
Right now, I think we're weekly at Salico. Yeah,
Okay.
weekly.
and what are the long-term plans?
What are the
Or
long-term
is
plans?
it, this is the plan?
This is the plan, for sure. The long-term plan is to have a healthy, vibrant pool to be able to continue to save, because again, as you know, as we're saying, I don't want to see us here again, 50 years later where you can no longer afford to keep it operating.
If you're closing at 8 o'clock. Most of the summer, it doesn't get dark until after 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or 9 o'clock. Why do you need these outdoor lights?
I'm understanding, is it for the parking lot, if
But
you will?
nobody's gonna be there.
Again, I would say just complying with ordinances of what we do need. To your point, in the pool, from the early morning hours until 8, there is plenty of sun, right? We just don't need glare. So we don't necessarily need lights to safely lifeguard the pool. I think it's just what are the ordinances for parking lots or outdoor amenities.
Speaking of that, yeah.
How much grab the wireless mic?
You can just
Right up front.
here up here.
In there.
So we'll let you know. Okay, the intent of the parking lot light is to light, we are gonna be open from Memorial Day to Labor Day, so you're gonna have time. Just prior to Memorial Day and just after Labor Day and sometimes in between where dusk isn't right at 8 o'clock, it might be at 6:30. So the parking lot lights are there to light the parking lot in the event that there's still staff there after hours.
So do people swim in the dark?
People would not swim in the dark. The only time we would be there after hours would be cleaning up for the evening.
So
setting up.
are your hours 6 to 8 or are they 6 to dusk? Or 8 at the latest?
I wouldn't, again, like with human behavior, I would definitely put a time frame on that versus dusk, right? Dusk could mean one to somebody else.
Right.
So I would say definitely, I would say in the general, what we're seeing as success is that 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. is a safe time frame. The sun is up.
But you go,
If what you're getting at is whether or not we're gonna have after hour or after dusk activities in the pool area.
dusk to 8 p.m. in the very early spring, early summer part.
Sure.
Where people may still, maybe dark out, but it's before 8 o'clock.
So the intent with the lighting around the pool itself isn't to light the pool for a safe enough atmosphere to swim after dusk. It's there for safety purposes, for staff to be cleaning up, putting chairs away, moving chemicals, whatever they do after the patrons leave.
Will people be allowed to rent this pool for a private party?
So we do, again, I would, if depending on the membership and how strong the membership is, we do birthday parties, we'll do Cub Scout testing, you name it, at the pool, we do that. However, if in fact, and I hope we are successful in our membership drive, we may not be able to, is what I'm trying to say.
No, that's fair.
But definitely not,
But,
no off hours, we do not permit swimming in the dark, that's for sure.
So there's no like adult party starting at 6 o'clock at night catered and then you go swimming afterward. These would be like kids' birthday parties.
Yes,
Or
like during
kids'
the
heart
day.
birthday parties.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you just one quick example. We did a FIFA watch party out of Coopersburg on the grounds of the grass of the pool. The pool itself was closed because it was dark, but we had, we were showing the game on the grass.
Okay.
We won't operate. We do not allow anyone to swim in dark.
So there's no swimming in the dark, but there still could be after hour noise. After closed hours.
It would be rare, such as FIFA, but no, I would try to stick to the operating hours for sure.
But if there was an evening event where the pool is closed and there is some sort of after hours activity, that is after dusk, that event would still be subject to our noise ordinance,
Correct.
which
That is
ends at 10 o'clock at night, I believe.
That is correct. And no swimming.
A lot of times there's a condition about lighting going off an hour after people leave the premises and
That's one of my questions.
Yeah.
And it does say, sun sets Memorial Day between 8:15 and 8:30.
Okay.
Different parts, different areas, but right around it.
Right, so if they're working for another hour, then, you're talking 9:30, when the lights go out, once the last person leaves and.
So are your lights gonna go out after people leave?
what we said for security, there would be like,
The little pathway lights are gonna stay
Right.
on, but the parking lot lights.
I think there's a provision in the ordinance that they have to be cut by a certain percentage.
30%.
30%. If we were to leave them on 24/7, we leave them on the entire evening, we could certainly time them to go off at say 10 o'clock. You know, that way we absolutely guarantee that everyone's out of the parking lot, staff's out of the parking lot, they're out of the pool area, that type of thing.
I have two questions. The 8 o'clock, is that everybody out of the pool's closed cutoff time, or is 8 o'clock everybody out of the facility except staff?
so typically what we do is there is like a, some
Like a
warning,
echo
some warning bells, right? That along with Adult Swim, the favorite two things that, kids just love to hear. But we do, typically like what we're seeing, our staff are generally out by the time they do back up garbage, they're throwing it out, they're taking pool readings, lane lines, they're out of there by 8:30. It doesn't take them long, and because they're doing some of that work before the pool actually closes. We always get the stragglers, so I would say, I would feel safe saying everyone's exited, including both members and staff by 8:30 at the latest.
And then my second question, and this may have been covered, I may have missed it. For the entrance coming in off the side of the school, for the hours when the pool is not in operation, will that be closed off somehow to prevent anybody?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
On the snack bar, is it going to be cooking anything? Is it just pre-made food?
You're looking at fair food, so like a hot dog grill. I wouldn't heating up generally, like you're heating up pizza, but
So there won't be like hot food?
yeah. We would actually, we would look to outsource if possible.
Yeah. Well, that's like
Mhm.
Health Quest, they outsource.
Yeah.
My other question was, are there, and I might have missed this, are there speakers? Like on, like, or is it, or is there gonna be music being played, PA, like what is that situation?
We do, of course, all within, the noise code, if you will. I will say, does music, create a more pleasurable experience? Yes, it does, but we also don't want it to sound like, for lack of a better word, like a frat party either, right? Like you want music, but at a level that's reasonable.
I'll just ask if there is any like placement of, is there any like pre-planned? Or,
To prevent music spill onto the neighbors.
yes, like if someone's just
Sure.
playing like.
You might think it's a pleasurable experience for your
Oh, no, and
members, but
I can understand for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
we're,
gonna be like, controlled by.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and we want to be a collaborative, respectful partner in everything. So I mean, I appreciate this gentleman coming out from the residency, I do.
Yeah. He's the coach. They had that. So. That's what he's kind of interested in knowing, like, whether or not you have the need to hold that, or if it's like, so.
Yeah, we would control it.
Yeah.
And those field hockey players, they've
Oh.
The PA question was already answered. I guess just, you said your chemical deliveries, the chemicals are going in the pump house?
That's
Kind
correct.
of brought it by drum, or is it like you're gonna have a 500-gallon tank there that's filled, or?
So right now, where we are, I don't know if you wanna, I know that Frank hasn't been sworn in.
We can though.
We can also defer this question to if he's gonna get tested.
Yeah, I'll push it to when he does. Yeah. That's all I had.
Okay.
So, any other follow-up board, professional questions? Yeah.
Yeah, just one observation. If your intention is to have some sort of a security gate, it needs to be shown on your site plan. It currently isn't.
So and maybe I misinterpreted, what I can share is that any access to the pool will have to be, there cannot be any access to the water when we're not there.
I thought it was a driveway.
There are gate, no, there won't be a gate across the driveway. I think the security gate that she was referring to would be at the entrance to the
Okay.
building. In addition
That
to
the
the
children
gates
can't get in.
on the perimeter fence as well that we're showing on the site plans.
So we're not talking about a, swinging gate at the driveway.
No, I apologize. I just meant there would not be any access to the pool. and south.
So to follow up on that question, if the driveway is open, are there any other security features in the parking lot to prevent?
Shenanigans.
That's a good word, thank you.
Parking lot lighting,
Yeah.
after hour parking lot lighting.
Cameras,
that's another
camera
reason.
surveillance,
Right, and we can incorporate cameras and surveillance.
we would.
Is there a reason why you're not putting up a gate and closing the site off at night? I mean, without
There before.
fences.
I don't think there was one
I feel
before.
like it was a different time.
It hasn't really been discussed. We'd certainly have to coordinate that with the fire department for 24-hour access with a lock or a Knox box or whatever it might be. Right, I don't know that it's absolute, given this is on a high,
One at a time, please, so we get the.
given it's on a high traffic, it's not like it's a retail or anything like that. We're getting a lot of traffic coming in and going out. I think that, really haven't had a need to have that internal discussion about closing off that entrance.
Yeah, I think my biggest concern is that if the entrance isn't secured some way, then there's some additional security measures in the parking lot area itself, because unfortunately, things
Mhm.
happen.
So the buildings will all be locked.
Correct,
And
that
then
is correct.
an 8 fence preferred around the pool itself.
We will have camera surveillance in the lighting.
Are there cameras on the site plan? Is that something?
That one typically.
Usually doesn't go on the site plan, right?
No, not normally.
We've had a handful of applications where we've had positions of cameras, but those are usually bags.
No, the dispensaries too.
Oh, the dispensaries need them also, that's what we're known. Yeah. Okay.
I just have one question, and I might have missed it. We started talking a little bit about after hours activities. Is that you're planning on having after hours activities?
We are not, we
Or
do,
maybe- okay.
yeah, we're not, however, like, again, in being a collaborative partner, if there could be a community group, there could be a school, there could be, we would like to be able to entertain that, but we're not building that into our plan.
Okay, so maybe if the board's so inclined that there's some sort of notification, application, request of the borough council, something, if that is. Just say count for how that works, because if we're gonna start putting hours of operation in and lighting off, but then leave that open for a possibility down the road, we wanna kind of work that out.
Is this gonna be members only, or can you do it by day pass there?
You can buy a day pass to be a guest. That's actually, you need to be able to access this. You need to be able to provide guest passes.
Do you need to go with a member, or can somebody just come in for the day?
I would advise to be able to come in for the day.
Okay, I mean,
Yes.
there is, Middlesex Borough, they have a pool, a community pool right next to. Like the municipal complex, by the high school, I'm sorry, and they do things like on, they might do a swim.
Yeah.
Picnic thing, and it's a fee.
And that's fine, I'm just
Right.
saying, if we're gonna put restrictions in.
Right, no, they do
Something else.
stuff like that
So-
on occasion.
So maybe it falls under the. We've got testimony about normal operation, we've got testimony that they're not planning after hours activities. Maybe it needs to be in coordination with public safety officials or something, if there's anything outside of hours or something.
That's what I'm saying, there's gotta be something.
Right.
Well, there's a.
License
there's an
or.
event Committee, because the
Is
chief
there-
of police,
okay,
they're like
okay,
champion,
Maybe that's
and.
it, if that's.
Oh, yeah.
If I
Yes,
have license,
yes,
okay.
exactly,
Cause, like, you're,
there is.
you're next to the fireworks.
And they
like,
shouldn't,
there would be
they should have their hands tied, right, having a fireworks party in the pool. And then when the fireworks are over, everybody's out,
So
so.
we might have community, she specifically said community groups as
Right,
partners, so
right,
we might
right.
have community groups that might wanna take advantage of it.
Right.
So I don't think we wanna prevent it.
So I don't think the events would be the mechanism.
Yeah, I think we should get a resolution that they have to get on the events committee's blessing.
Yeah.
For stuff outside of normal-
The license or
It's
whatever.
basically, there is an application, it goes to the clerk, and it's basically mostly our professionals and, the bid director sits on it as well.
This would be for
but
things
it's-
outside of normal operations.
Yeah, I mean, that's like,
That's fine.
corn beer tomato or whatever.
Well, we're just don't have to deal with it on the fly. It's just.
And I was just wanting to ask that as part of clarification. So this is just with respect to special events after hours.
Any events after the hours, well, let's make it broad. out of season and out of hours. Right, because if there was some reason you wanted to do, or no, I mean, that's.
I think you could have in season after hours.
After 8 p.m. They've established that the pool hours end at 8 p.m.
Correct.
So
And then
anything outside of the 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. hours that they've established that the pool is open would be for any other special
And
events.
weekends, which are 12 to 8, and the Memorial Day to Labor Day. But at night.
12 to 8 on the weekends?
That's what she said.
Yeah.
And you're good with those averages.
Actually,
Kara.
Jen, since we were talking, the different events and stuff, just wanna throw it out that during the fireworks that we just had, that street is closed from like the park, no, I'm saying 6 o'clock at night. So like people can't get in or out of there, so just, that's part of the permit for the thing, just so you
That might be
guys
an
are
early
aware.
closure day that day for us to
Yeah.
allow for the firework party, for sure.
Okay.
Can I ask a question kind of related to town events too, collaborative, such as the 4th of July event?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're willing to collaborate with Riffus, you'd be willing to collaborate with the borough on special events like the 4th of July. You're also bordering our only public park as well. And I know, if you're planning on collaborating with Riffus, I know they have like lacrosse tournaments and stuff at that particular location. I would assume that you, like you said, you'd like to use their parking. They probably would like to use your parking for those summer or those off-season events. I'm wondering, would the same collaboration be, are you willing to collaborate with the town for, let's say there is an event at Tucumcari Park, like a soccer tournament at the newly refurbished park, newly refurbished field, eventually. But your fence goes along the border, obviously for security reasons. Is there a possibility that, because the park does have some established walkway areas, and in particular, it goes right up to the fence at one location. And there was a long range plan done for the park where there was a pedestrian kind of walkway that goes right to that. Is it possible that you might consider connecting the your site to the public park via a locked gate access for a possible, cross access event? Obviously not accessing the pool area, but let's say the park, connecting the parking area to the park itself. I'm just thinking that we might need some overflow parking as well for a special event.
There's a physical limitation in between our parking lot and the park in the form of a drainage swale. That we have
yes.
to traverse to get to that path, so I'm gonna, no,
It's
there's
not
really
gonna be
not
possible.
the availability there, even if we were to tear down the fence.
Yeah, because of that swale,
Yeah.
yeah, so people can kind of walk up to the fence and kind of wait.
I mean,
The deer get.
I was gonna say, there's a deer path that I walked around, it's sitting around the edge, but you still have to jump
Yeah,
down
we'll
from the
figure out.
drainage swale, yeah.
I'm sure we can still collaborate on stuff.
Of course.
Any other board questions?
Should it be higher than 8 feet if the deer are a big problem?
Maybe the deer wanna go swimming.
I don't know, if the deer wanna go, then they're gonna get stuck on that, and that's a fun police call.
Oh,
That happened to me, I've seen that.
Wow.
I think one will be good. All right, any members of the public with questions for this witness on the testimony given?
Yeah, but if you have my, sorry. Thank you.
Tom Brescia again, 52 Bunnell Street. I was a little confused about the hours myself. I heard Monday through Friday when school's out, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Then I heard weekends, 12 to 8 were community hours. What goes on in the morning on weekends?
And so in the morning, what we were proposing is, again, we would be open to closed programming. So that would look like, again, your Saturday morning swim lessons, your swim team, et cetera, coming in Saturday morning. We were proposing, again, in general, like a 7 a.m. at that time.
7 a.m.
Quiet programming, yeah. Sundays, we would open at 12.
And on the Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 p.m. in that morning hour, 6 to say 8 or 9 a.m., would that be a silent time type thing versus music, announcements, etc.?
You're correct. It's a what we see there is our master swim team comes in. It's a quieter. You're just hearing, just lap swim. There's no music playing at that time. It would just be adults only lap swim.
Okay, and I heard us talking about special events and collaborating with the community and so on. I think there should be some limitation on the number of those. Tuesday nights we have the Girl Scouts special thing from 8 to 10. Then we have the Boy Scouts on Thursday. Then on Saturday we have whatever and so on. I think there needs to be some reasonableness taken into consideration for things going beyond the 8 p.m. time, whether it's limited to once a week, one night in the middle of the week and weekend night, but some not restrictions, but some good neighbor policies.
Of course. So I'll tell you an example of what we're doing right now. We have a total of 4 events. That's total of 4 where we open to the community. And that was really because the community was asking us to do that. It wasn't that the why, it was, we were being asked.
You're talking in Coopersburg, you're talking about?
Yeah.
So 4 events throughout the entire summer.
Total of 4. We're doing like a flick and float. I talked about the FIFA event that we did. And we're doing an end of the year, like free hot dogs and ice pops, but that's during operational hours.
Also, will there be a cap on daily attendance? Should be the capacity of
Yeah,
whatever
we're
it
gonna
is.
have to because so there is a for us with our insurance carrier, it's a 1 to 25. So it's 1 lifeguard per 25 participants. So again, wanting to be cost effective, you want to be able to give a great experience, but at the same time, there's only so many lifeguards that you can have and hire.
So what do you estimate the maximum capacity to be?
As I was saying before, we have not yet exceeded that 50 to 60 number in the pool itself. We have yet to exceed that.
The 25 is in the pool.
1 to
We
25.
have 500 people at the pool, but we only have.
Correct, it's who's in the water.
To 25 in the pool.
But your capacity to be limited to the premises, not just the pool, is that correct?
And what we believe to be a pleasurable experience. Again, I'm understanding that when the pool was in its heyday before, they were, I want to say, around 600 family units when they were with a waiting list. I'm looking at anywhere between, like, again, if you want to sustain financially, we're going to have to at least have 500 households.
Well, family units is one thing, but as you said, people sign up, they don't show up, they come.
That's right.
And whatever, but my concern is, what's the maximum number of people on site on Saturday afternoons or Saturdays? Is there a limit, and what will that be?
We have not yet faced needing to have a limit.
Okay.
But I can tell you even if we said within the water, let's say, what's success, I would say max capacity in the water. If I saw 100 people in the pool, that's a healthy number to get to there. If every child in the pool had a couple parents, maybe you're looking at 200 to 300 total, but not. We have yet to see that. I'd love to see that.
Well, number in the order doesn't really answer my question, but I think you understand my thing. I hope the board understands my concern. Thank you.
Yeah.
One other question, will swim meets be held?
Yes, so again, we right now are hosting swim meets out of the Deer Path branch on Woodchurch Road. Pending, again, in our relationship hopefully with Rifus, if we're able to use the parking lot, we would love to have swim meets there. If that is not possible, then we would continue to have them at the Deer Path branch.
And if you were having them here, could those be limited in number of, 4 swim meets per season or 1 per week?
So actually, you're correct. The swim meet season is about 6 weeks. So it's mostly all of June and half of July. And because it's, you have home and away meets. And I think this year we have about 4 home meets this summer season.
And how are they conducted as far as like starting times, starting guns, announcements, winners? How do you manage that?
So again, the pool would close to all patrons probably around that 3 o'clock mark. We would close, we would set up for the swim meet up itself. You're looking at a start time you're looking at warm-ups around 5 with the meet starting at 6 to get out of there again within closing hours of that 8 o'clock time frame.
Do you use visual starting techniques or do you use
There is
buzzers or guns?
there will be whistles blown. That's what they do now, is there is a whistle blown for the athletes to line up on the block.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Have you set these, or do you have an idea of what a membership will cost or for a family?
So right now, we did a competitive analysis of about 6 outdoor pools. So what you would be looking at would be membership pricing, non-membership resident pricing, and then non-resident pricing. We would have a tiered model. So if you're a member of the Y, that's your most cost-effective reduced rate. If you're not a member of the Y, but you are a resident here, that would be the next level, and then you would have complete non-resident. Your non-residents though typically pay your guest fee. They're not looking at coming in and taking out a full membership.
So what are we talking about? Is this a family membership?
So
Or is it-
and I have it here. So in our competitive analysis, what you're looking at for a family membership, they do, you have your early bird rate if you join by, X time frame, and then if you join thereafter. So your families are hovering anywhere between that 600 mark for the season, for the entire season.
That is if you're a member of the Y?
If you're a member of the Y, that's correct.
And the non,
Your non-member, you're looking upwards to the 700 mark.
and that's a family of 4?
We don't look at it that way. It's just if you're 2 adults with your dependents. And then also we would continue to offer financial assistance.
And what if you're a single person?
If you're single, you're hovering around that 350 to 400, non-member 450 to
Is there a senior
475. Yes, we always offer active older adult rates, which are at a reduction anywhere from 25 to 30% off of your adult.
And is there a host community rate?
Hey, say that again?
Host community, Flemington Borough resident.
Well, that's the-
That would be, yeah, that's.
So it has to be a resident of Flemington, not Raritan Township.
Or any of the
I would be
other
happy to work with
08822s.
however you would like us to do it.
Well, no, it's a really
Yeah,
good question.
sure.
It's gonna be
What-
my next
whatever-
question. Is
whatever's
the
collaborative.
resident rate the 08822 zip code, which includes
That's fine.
Raritan Township.
six municipalities actually have that, so people think they live in Flemington, but they don't. Is the resident rate borough only? Is there a bigger discount for a host?
My honest opinion,
yeah.
I would honor Flemington Raritan School District zip codes.
So that's your
That's what I would-
consideration of resident.
But however, I would love to get feedback and be collaborative, but typically what we see is going off the school districts tends to work.
I know that, and I, with all, this is something that we, I think, as the borough are pretty passionate about. We have and we really and truly appreciate the generosity of the YMCA donors in particular, because we know that they help fund families that are maybe and lower in the socioeconomic situation. However, the borough itself has and Mr. Statistics here can tell you what it is, but there, we have the lowest per capita household income, and that's something that I think is near and dear to a lot of the borough, specifically, I think the elected officials in town, as well as I think that probably everybody that volunteers here in the community.
Right.
So a little bit more discount for the host community is something that we would probably really
So,
relate.
yeah, because we're no longer a partnership with Raritan Township with Pool. We were. Just like we were a partnership with the rec department,
Yeah.
which included the fireworks. So we pay for those fireworks. Our member down at the end raises money for it, because we get nothing from the township. And it's our police department that will be patrolling this. Township will not be. It'll be our OEM who's responsible if there's a hazmat situation over there with a chemical spill, not the township. I can go on and on and on. So it's harder work to divide that 08822 because it has to be done basically by street. But, you know, like, we have a great relationship with the township in many things, but recreation is no longer one of them.
Okay.
So just to clarify, the host community discount that's being contemplated, that's just specific to the borough of Flemington residents. So if you're a resident of the township of Raritan, which is like surrounding community, though you have a Flemington address, that would not be a part of it.
Pay 50% of the fireworks again? I'm not gonna talk about that.
Again, I wanna, I mean, I'm not sure how much of this is able for us to enforce the resolution on a land development application. But I think you're hearing concerns
Yes.
and we would strongly encourage, I think we could leave it in that neighborhood.
But it's up to you
But it's a real
guys,
concern.
like how you break that up, it's certainly,
Yeah.
like giving discounts to the, you know, the school, however you guys are breaking it up is how you should break it up, all we're saying is throw a little more extra away.
Okay.
You're your left.
That is not a quid pro quo.
Let's be clear.
But we're putting out more, I mean, it's simple as that.
Well,
You know.
you're, I mean, putting on more, you're not, I mean, you know, the township's got no responsibility for any of this any longer, and they used to.
Well, it's not even that, I mean, we don't even have to go with what we do and what we don't, because literally we go around with hat in hand asking people for, you know, asking businesses for money for the fireworks. So literally, you know, it's like Oliver and you know, get, you know, may I have a dime, sir, right? But more importantly, as the host community, the surrounding neighbors will be affected by things like lighting and noise and stuff like that. So I think let's just, nothing related to give and take between the rec departments and all that. Let's just focus on the fact that as the host community, the neighbors will be affected, whether it's those apartments or whether it's Benell Street or anything else, and police department, those type of things I think are valuable to us.
I think that's a logical statement
Yeah.
and point to put out.
And I'm hoping
Those
that
two particular.
they won't be like affected too much, that if there's a complaint about noise, that you'll be sensitive to whatever activity.
Of course.
it was.
Yeah.
And tone it down or whatever, you know, so I think that's really important as well.
I think we've exhausted the questions. No, that's okay. So we do have a
Oh,
policy.
no, I had one more
More,
question.
go.
That's- Occupancy loads, this gentleman asked about occupancy loads in your Pennsylvania location. I'm assuming it's kind of similar in that there's an outer fence and then an inner fence related, you know, to access the.
There's
the
only,
pool.
so it's in a park-like setting, so there's a football field and a couple baseball fields and then the pool. Everything's all connected except there is a fence around the pool itself.
So I guess
that
my
only allows
question
members.
is there an occupancy load? And I don't know really if there, because I'm familiar with building occupancy loads.
Right.
But is there an occupancy load to get, if there's an emergency within that fence line, you still have to vomitorium essentially the people that are in that fence line out without being, like in a concert where you're pressed up against the cages, right? How do you get people out? Is there? I don't. It's just like, where are those? I think
the YMCA to a mosh pit.
Look, I've got an architectural background, so for me, egress is what I think. So I'm thinking, if you're in an enclosed area, how do you get people out in an emergency?
When
Is
the
there?
giant buck jumps over the fence.
Everybody goes right.
The bear climbing over.
Is there an occupancy load requirement for an interior of a fence? So you've got people in inside of the fence area. I don't know that answer, honestly.
I don't know the answer right now, but we can, of course.
Do you know
find
that?
out.
I don't know, no. I know that we have 2 egress points plus what getting through the building, and that should suffice, but it's something that we'll take on.
Obviously, there's
Yeah.
code.
That's right.
Yeah, and I don't know what that is,
So we have
but
to-
that has to be
it
reflected
falls
on your
more
site
under
plan
the
if it's applicable.
Right, it's not so much a site code, but a building code.
Right. So we wanna, I mean, this is just
Yeah,
falls
like I
under
wonder,
general
do you need
conditions.
gate every so many feet? You have a big fenced in area.
I think they just need to meet occupancy code egress
Right.
requirement,
Yeah,
whatever,
that's what
if
it
it
If
exists.
there is any.
If it exists, they need to meet it and it needs to be
course.
shown on the site.
And it sounds like they're happy to
Yes.
comply with that, right? So.
And there will be a building permit submission as well. I mean, after this all.
It was a lot to hold.
All right,
We're all getting tired.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the board has a policy to end our meetings by 10 and have not start new business after 9:30. Unless, I doubt that you have a witness who can be heard in 8 minutes.
I
But
don't know if we have any. Let's see, microphone. We weren't planning on any additional testimony. I know
Okay.
one of the board members had a specific question that Mr. Frank Barlow might be able to comment on.
So-
That would probably be the only thing.
Okay.
If there's any additional questions from the
yeah,
professional.
no, I'm happy to bring in the next witness. If you think it's just for a short little thing, let's do that. I just wanna, I just wanted to be cognizant of our.
Sure.
speaker, And I don't. Not gonna, like, we're trying to count down timer, but that's the board policy, so.
So if you could please state your first name and last name and your role with respect to the River Crossing YMCA.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Frank Barlow, and I am the VP of Facilities.
So for the testimony you're about to give this board, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but
I do.
Great, thank you.
With respect to your role, if you guys clarify that, I'm not sure if that all picks up.
Sure. I run the facilities department at the River Crossing YMCA. In particular, I think the question was around chemical delivery.
Yeah, like, is if you're using bleach or she said
It's
acid or.
sodium
whatever.
hypochlorite, which is
And if
commonly
it's-
known as chlorine.
Yeah, so like if you're getting a delivery in the front of the building and you said the tank is all the way in the back, how are they running hoses all over there?
They
to
have
fill it,
they have a
or-
truck. They have a truck with hoses. They are licensed and registered to fill them. We do them all over the place. Interior and outside, it's the same way. They run a hose right to the tank.
The tanks, if there was a spill, they have containment or something, so if you had a 400-gallon tank and the thing had a hole in it, you had 400 gallons go
Or-
back towards the wetland.
The tanks that we would install they're like a double hull, so it's like a safety tank. And that's, I mean, they sell them specifically designed to contain chlorine, without being punctured. And then the acid is delivered in carburetors, usually either 5 or 15 gallon.
And that's all kept in the back pump room or whatever.
Yes, historically it was kept in the one side of the pump room. It's still there. But I believe the new design is it's gonna encompass that as well, just the pump equipment.
Okay, I just curious of how you were feeling so that there's no risk of spillage, basically.
Yeah.
Does your current YMCA's closets at Deer Path or at this other facility in Pennsylvania are the typical pool rooms that pool closets that I expect have like a finish on the floor and on up the sides of like an epoxy type finish?
Yeah.
Do you have that at your other facilities, and would that be for chemical storage?
Yeah, so typically they're just kept on regular concrete floors. It depends on the site. There is a spilled well at the Coopersburg site. And we use spill kits at our other sites that don't have that. So, and they're, I mean, what they kind of look like. They're just long strings in case there's a spill.
Right.
We've never had to use one.
Right.
But they're there just in case.
But all the storage closets then are contained in, as well as where outside where they're kind of moved from place to place, like Mark had said.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
And I guess he's concerned about the chemical spillage, like,
Right.
to make sure that
Right.
wherever it's stored is pure.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely locked. All our chlorine areas are all locked and secure.
So I guess, the operational question is if you've got a truck with a hose filling your double wall tank, the double wall tank is in the pump house, reconstructed pump house, which is on that diagram at the very bottom of the truck would go where and where are the hoses running? Like if you pointed out.
Well, I believe what they did was they had the truck back up to here and just run the hose down and fill the tank.
Okay.
I believe that's what they did, because there's a gate there.
Okay.
That's what I was told.
It's a long hose.
It's a long hose.
That was my
It's a long
question.
hose.
Is the idea to do the same as what was done previously?
Yes. There is an access gate here, and an access gate here currently, and the truck can come down either way. And
I imagine they're included within process, right? They're to make sure that they know, like, they see the distance, they know that they're able to do it, all within, that they're included within the plans.
sure, and we can double check with them and make sure that they have enough extension hose.
Are you saying it's gonna drive across the grass in some instances? The trucks would drive across the grass? You said the truck could enter here or enter here, you just meant the hoses from.
Well, the hoses, but they would open a gate, there's a gate in there, so
Got
they could walk through.
Is that
Yeah, I just was curious how you were gonna do it so that there's no risk of chemical getting in the grass or into the wetlands, which are basically back either.
sure? Any other questions from the professionals for facilities? Okay.
A question back, Mr. Chef.
Oh, all right, well, just make sure that anybody else for him. From the board members? Yeah, I was gonna say, online, I'm not seeing any. No. Okay, so. Public questions for this witness? No, okay. I can see everybody. Okay, thank you. There was a question.
Very
Patricia.
quickly, are you planning now or in the future to put up any kind of playground equipment?
At this time, we are not planning on playground equipment because we would have the splash pad, and the splash pad will have the buckets and all that fun stuff. So at this time, we're not planning on that.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so no more testimony. Okay, so I'm gonna ask the board's indulgence because we're at 9:30. Is there, I mean, we're close to the end, or are we okay going a few minutes past time?
Mr. Campion's willing.
Mr. Campion's still online, so I'm gonna try to make this efficient. So, okay, so is there anything else from our board professionals that you think that we need to hear?
We didn't go through the reports, but as long as the applicant's complying with. And we heard brief testimony about adjusting the coverage and stuff to get down to 20% and whatnot. They obviously heard their objective of not having to do the whole. As long as there's no questions about the reports or that we do, what's in the reports and we get to and that goes to the applicant too, if he has any questions about stuff.
Right. So so Mr. Perez, are there any other questions on the reports or that?
No other questions.
Okay, all right. So, so all professionals are satisfied. So now is the time for public comment. Any members of the public wishing to make a comment, please. And again, if you could name for the record,
Tom Brescia, 52 Bonnell Street. I have some prepared comments, concerns. We've touched on some of the things, but
before you start because this is comment, we should swear you in.
Yep,
So-
just in case there's any actual testimony to this comment. I swear the testimony I'm about to give this board the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to say my objective tonight was not to deny or hamper the revitalization of the pool, but develop a good neighbor policy for the benefit of the pool users and the pool neighbors. Let's go into this, our eyes wide open. As I said, some things may be a little repetitive. We've touched on them briefly, but I think it's good to summarize anyway. The pool was operated from 1963 through 2017. It was managed by a community board of directors, which comprised residents of Raritan Township and Flemington Borough. You can look up the names if you like, but it was a very local managed group by volunteers. I've been a resident of Bunnell Street for 15 years, 5 of those when the pool was in operation. Some observations that I have and other neighbors I've spoken to on Bunnell Street, particularly those who were there when the pool was in operation. There are 3 major things that we observed, and then we'd like to talk about the things we can do to hopefully remediate or control or manage those better in the future. Number 1, music was continually played during the hours of operation, interrupting neighbors of quiet enjoyment of their property. This was from morning to night. I live more than 200 feet away, and you could hear it every day. 2, multiple swim team competitions, many going on for hours using very loud starting gun buzzers, followed by recital of times of winners, 2nd place, 3rd place, get ready for the next heat, and so on. Yes, people want to be recognized for their achievements. The kids want to see them smile, but there are better ways to do that. And the 3rd thing was numerous public addressing announcements. Hot dogs are now 50 cents, come get them here. Don't forget to sign up for this thing. Don't forget to do that. Is that necessary to be broadcast where residents 200, I'm about 250 and further can hear it? I don't think so, especially in today's day and age with the technology we have. So, some considerations or requests of the planning board, other professionals and officers of the town to consider. And again, maybe a little repetitive here, but we're going to go through them quickly. To be aware of the season of operation, days of operation, hours of operation, make sure they're memorialized and followed. There was a little discussion about heaters. That brings up some different concerns, but I think we need to take that into consideration if the season is going to be expanded, how long, when, why, and so on. Suggestion, no broadcasting of music at any time. Restrictions of swim meets to once per month of operating season. Utilization of state-of-the-art signaling systems using VSS technology. That's visual start signaling. They use lightings on the pool lanes. It's commonly used in many other pools. Minimal use of loudspeakers to announce winners, with the sound directed away from residential areas, perhaps using digital display boards to show the winners rather than requiring the large announcements. The kids can still see their names up in writing. Public address system should be used for emergencies, lost children, safety, law enforcement requests, lightning in the area, but not for hot dogs for 50 cents. Evening lighting to be turned off 15 minutes after closing time. I did hear we talk about there's some evening maintenance and so on, but again, there should be some limits. Pool closes at 8, maintenance should be done by 9, lights off. I asked the question about the swim teams and training sessions, and I believe the answer I heard was in the morning, the adult swim would be silent type thing. That was one of the suggestions I had here. Also, we've had a lot of discussion about the apartments and the noise over there. And this is, the school is over here. There's a park on that end, but Bunnell Street is not as far away as you think. Yes, there's some little wetlands, goes up a hill, a little path walks along people's backyards. Literally from that path, you can touch the back fence of those homes. I live across the street, but I've talked to just about everybody that lives on that side. And they would like to keep the disturbance to a minimum. If there's any more sound reduction techniques that could be used, please employ them or think about employing them. I also mentioned about having some type of noise study done when the pool is at peak operation. to make sure they comply with the noise requirements and ordinances of the town, so I think we should incorporate something along those lines. And I guess on the other side, here's the good neighbor model. The town of Westfield, which is in Union County, it's a very affluent town. They have 3 pools in one big complex. I'm very familiar with that complex. It's a densely populated area, residents on all sides. It is run by the town's recreation, not an outside group such as YMCA. Their session is the first Saturday of June to Labor Day, period. 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. With the exception, they have adult swim teams that come in that use it from 6 to 8 a.m., 6 to 10 a.m., and they pay a fee to do that, and it's quiet time. They broadcast no music at any time. That was after numerous discussions with the neighbors. On the average, they have 3 swim meets per season. This swim team starting system, one that I mentioned, it's made by Colorado Time Systems. It's a major producer of systems. You might want to look into that. The PA system in Westfield is restricted to emergency usage only. Not that, like, I came here and I can't find my friend, or I lost my sunglasses. Lighting is only used in the last few weeks of August, directed only on the pool area, and is promptly turned off at 8 p.m. closing time. I didn't ask about the parking lots. I'll go take a look, but I don't know if they light those parking lots. The pool, as I said, we have these swim teams in the morning. They're rented to an organization. Actually, it's a team from Staten Island, New York that comes there, believe it or not, from 6 to 8 a.m. and no other outside events or rentals. So those are some things where you can maybe get some ideas. In closing, I want to remind the board residents that before the pool was managed by a community board of directors, it's vastly different than YMCA management. The YMCA is a great organization. It's all kinds of programs out, helps people. It's a 501c3 group, but it also is very much revenue driven. We've even heard about tonight, making it cost effective and so on. I looked at the 2024 financial 990 form, which all 501c3s need to put out there. Their revenue was $46 million in that year. That's almost 10 times the borough's budget, right? So we're dealing with big business. 96% of their revenue was spent on programs, and that's great. 60% of that was for salaries. They have over 2,000 employees. The top 5 officers account for over 5% of the salaries, with the CEO, not the COO, but the CEO making over $500,000 a year. So revenue generation is an important thing for this organization, and they do good things with the money, but I'd like not to see our town pool be used as a cash cow to generate more and more revenues for programs. Let's keep it for the benefit of the people of Flemington, the Raritan Township area, and other surrounding areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing as there's no other members of the public online or here, I get a motion to close the public hearing.
Do you have any last comments you want to make?
No last comments from me. I think the only thing that I would say is just, obviously the YMCA is looking to revitalize what was essentially a key part of the community. And as Matt said, I am a former resident of the borough of Flemington as well as the township of Raritan. I've been at both, and I was a middle schooler before it was Rufus. It was the Reading Fleming intermediate school. And so obviously I remember back in the day when a lot of people would go to the pool. So, I think in general that the entire idea is they're trying to revitalize and rehabilitate something that was in the community, and also trying to do it in a way that has the least amount of impact, right? They're not trying to create something completely new and brand new in the sense of, just changing what's there, but instead of trying to improve and try to bring back something that was a beloved part of the community.
Thank you. Now I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
A motion.
Please call the roll.
Mayor Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Council Vice President Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Doshna.
Yes.
Ms. Giffen,
yes,
Mr. Schreiner,
Yes.
Mr. Shove,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so board discussion. Kara, if you could, kind of review what is being requested and waivers that are being asked for, that would be
Yes,
some
so.
conditions that we talked about.
So I think probably the easiest thing to do is look at what was submitted as a four, in during tonight's presentation, that is the relief that is being requested.
Kara, I could barely hear you.
Sorry. So to take a look at A4, which outlines the relief, that's being requested, we've got our site plan relief, we've got our design waiver relief, with regard to the filtered buffers, the parking lot modules, and each of these were addressed by the applicant's professionals as well as the board planner put in his commentary as well. We get to waivers, there were two RSIS waivers, parking illumination waivers, which I think we did discuss, and if the board is so inclined to grant an additional waiver from the height of the light poles to 22 feet, then we would do away with that particular waiver that was requested. We move into the fencing, which I think is requested as a waiver because of the location. There's a question really due to the property configuration of what's a front yard and what's not, so I think that's being requested to cover all bases. And then the second one on page 3 was withdrawn, and I think it's important to note there that the applicant has represented that they will meet the 30% required by that section of the ordinance. However, if not, the board has to decide what happens in that instance. Will stormwater management mechanisms that are required to comply with that section of the ordinance be left to for the board professionals if possible? I mean, again, we'd have to see where we were at that point, but would they just automatically want the applicant to come back to this board and explain the situation and what type of relief it is that they're asking for? Because technically, they're getting site plan approval, and that would be a site plan change that this board could certainly want to see. And as the chair had indicated, stormwater management is important to the board for them to take a look at.
I think if they have to do stormwater, they're gonna have to come back with that site plan. So I don't think we can get around that, because Bob's gonna have to review all the calculations and the methods, and we can't avoid that.
So I think that answers the question.
I think it does too, just wanted to, again, throw it out there for everybody. So that's the relief that's being requested. I did have a number of conditions, which I don't know if you wanna start with them now. Some are questions that the board's gonna have to weigh in on. Our standard compliance with all the reports of the board professionals, except as otherwise outlined or changed by what we're gonna talk about next. The second shed, which is the shed to the west of the pump house, will be removed. The well will be included within the fenced-in area along with the meter and the tank. The well will be protected as per legal requirements, and final sign off from Borough Water and Sewer will be required in connection with that. We talked about the design waiver approval for the increased height of the light fixtures to 22 feet to incorporate shielding, the satisfaction of board professionals. Light sources shall not be visible and shall be otherwise compliant with the code and the ordinances. Lighting cutoff time. We didn't specifically talk about that, but that's a question that I think we have to say. We talked about maybe a half hour after. I think maybe we tie that into the hours of operation, which we'll talk about in a minute. Compliance with state and local noise codes. Proper placement of any speakers to avoid noise trespass on neighbors. I did also hear something about possibly doing a sound test, a noise study at a certain point in time, if that's something the board wants to impose as well. The schedule, Memorial Day to Labor Day, and open Monday through Friday once the Rivers School District is closed. Hours of pool operation, so I have 6 AM to 8 PM Monday through Friday. And then we talked about 7 to 8 on Saturday and 12 to 8 on Sunday, but I was a little confused. Are the adult swims still happening starting at 6 AM? So we need to clean that up a little bit. And then something I was thinking about was maybe the applicant submits a schedule, like a typical daily schedule for weekday and weekend. So, we can kind of see that the plan is that there is adult swim from 6 to 8.
Well, I think that's the testimony we heard, was that they,
I was clear with.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I just, like I said, when we talked about hours, I heard hours of operation 7 to 8 on Saturday, 12 to 8 on Sunday, so.
Yes,
Exactly
that's
what I
what it
heard
is,
too.
yeah.
Okay, and so that's,
But it-
does not include so there's
So
no
there's-
6 AM day swim on the weekends.
No,
Okay,
that's what we heard
Okay.
from
just
them.
wanna make sure.
And that it only is recreational swim on the Sunday.
That's correct.
On Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday at 7 a.m.
Saturday at 7 a.m.
Saturday
there
at
is-
7 a.m.
There are some programming lessons and whatever, it's recreational swim from noon on weekends.
Okay. Alright, take that out. We talked about after hours activities. If there is any after hours activities, they must apply for any event license or application approval that is required by the borough. Deliveries and garbage times are going to be ordinance compliant. And as testified to, right now there's anticipated weekly garbage pickup, but I think we should put in that there needs to be additional scheduled pickups. They'll do that as necessary. The applicant will ensure that all code and occupancy capacity requirements are met, specifically with regard to the fenced-in areas. When we talked about the conditions and the comments within Jim's report, we talked about section 1632 A6C. This is with regard to the additional landscaping. The applicant said that they'll fill in additional landscaping to the satisfaction of the board planner, include some evergreens and deciduous mix, so that there is no direct visibility to the nearby residences. All invasive vegetation will also be cleared out. We talked about there's a lot of that in there that we could use to take care of. Yeah.
They only said that for the existing that's along the apartments, not along the Benel Street side.
Yes, so that's the page 4 of the planner's report that again talks about section 1632 A6C, next to the Prospect Hill Apartments. Then we talked about
Karen, can you go back to the occupancy, and within the fence, can you say occupancy and egress requirements?
Yep.
Just put the words and egress.
Code, egress, and let's see.
Thank you.
Talked about the trees, there's 4 trees within the parking area that are going to be removed and replaced along the perimeter with 12 trees in accordance with whatever species requirements are in the ordinance. Yeah, that's a satisfaction of board professionals. The existing well will be left in its current state. We're going to build a pool. The existing electric meter will remain and will be screened with fencing for safety. There's a propane tank within that area as well that will be replaced with a larger one and also included in the fenced-in area. Likely most of it will be placed underground. The applicant will do their best to save the roots of the large pine in the island. All of these are under general comments on page 6 of the board planner's report.
Kara.
Yep.
I heard testimony that the well had a big hole in it. It was dangerous. You said something about there was a hole in the side of the well?
Not so much dangerous, the hole's about this big.
Oh, okay, then
It just noted that it had to be, it probably has to be. cleaned
repaired.
up.
I guess
Yeah.
your comment was that it shall remain, your comment was what is that it shall remain as is, and I think they're gonna have to make some repairs to it, so I don't necessarily know if that verbiage jives with what's gonna happen.
So it will remain and
be repaired as
repaired.
required or whatever.
Except their testimony, be careful, because their testimony said that they're going to investigate whether or not the pit well can be repaired. If not,
As
they're-
necessary if possible, otherwise we'll connect into the
Well,
public.
the other thing is, the water department may not want that well, they might just go to all public water, the well's gonna have to be capped and abandoned.
Right,
So
so
there's a couple different.
So we have, I think we have to capture that this is gonna be based on their investigation of the well and the coordination of the borough water and stuff.
Possible,
If
yeah.
the one a big hole would be, a little hole would become a big hole and some kid gets hurt.
Yeah.
Be repaired as necessary if possible, all to the approval of the borough or so. Okay, and then to Mr. Breslin's comments, he had brought up some thoughts with regard to limitations on music, broadcasting, number of swim meets that would be permitted during the season, using different types of systems. He mentioned the VSS system, digital displays, limiting public announcements to emergencies. I think that was it. I mentioned the noise study already.
There was also, testimony about the chemical company was confirming that they could actually accommodate that at all.
The
Confirmation from the chemical
that
company.
delivery, adequate access to the planned location of storage tank. If it needs modification to the fence to allow, those kinds of questions about.
Confirmation the floor is adequate.
I think that's kind of what.
Safe delivery.
Safe delivery or something.
Well, it should be, chemicals would be delivered and, transferred by a licensed, company that's something to that effect. I mean, it should be, I think they represent, it's a licensed operator that does that, follow safety protocols, spill kits, the whole.
I mean, it's just kind of good practice. It's just. Alright. So board discussion, we're gonna start with the folks online. Gus, and you unmuted. So I'm calling you first.
I'm good now.
Okay, Karen.
Yeah, I'm good. Generally, I'm just want to reiterate, as the Y said, that they're proud to partner and bring this back. As somebody whose children went to the original pool back in the day, it was a sad day when we lost that community resource, and I am pleased that they're putting in the work to bring back this community resource for us. To the points made earlier, I didn't weigh in at the time, but I do completely agree with everybody that said if the Y can consider giving some different, a lower price for residents of the borough in recognition of the input that the borough has in this. And possibly also, given that it was oversubscribed previously and people will be keen to, I'm sure people will be keen to join. People have been waiting for a few years for this. If there's any possibility of borough residents being amongst the first wave of having access to take memberships up, just some sort of consideration for that, given the fact that we are supporting with all the borough items, as the mayor mentioned, to support their operations. I really would like to see if they can do something along those lines if possible. But otherwise, I think everybody's questions and everybody's testimony has covered the concerns that could happen. But generally, I'm really pleased to see this moving forward. And I hope we can come to some agreement.
Dennis,
I am good, thanks.
Mike,
Ready to vote?
all right. Start with this, Mark.
I'll make a few words, thank you.
All right, that's everything you want to add. Listen,
Sounds good.
Mark,
There's something just the parking lots, I don't know if we talked about it in the waivers, just remember it, but 1600K parking lot shall be surfaced with. I'm not gonna be able to say that word in surface.
By 2 minutes.
The new one there. Do we address that? Do we talk about that or did I just miss it? Cause I
Well,
feel like we didn't get.
they need, our design standard says you gotta pave the parking lot. And they don't wanna pave the parking lot, they're asking for relief from that, so they can leave it as is, which I think our board professionals have no objection to that.
Okay, yeah, okay. And then the only other thing was around the points that were brought up by the gentleman now. So we touched on that just a moment ago, and then I asked a question about something else. So I just wanted to make sure that I was clear on what we were adding related to that, and be able to say the direction of the speakers, the potential noise study, anything else.
I think that's what we need to consider, so I think maybe after everybody talks, then we, maybe there's 4 or 5 things we need to definitively decide how you wanna handle. This condition.
Okay.
So why don't we just jump to that now, because I think that would be helpful. So let's start with, the one in my notes here, so,
Continuous music.
well, we can start with the music, it wasn't first on my list, but it's on my list, so I think we've heard testimony from the applicant about there would be music, it'd be under their control. I think there seems to be some sense that they're okay with making sure it's not a nuisance and complying with, but I don't know what the number is in decibels, which was the board's noise ordinance off the top of my head.
60 during the day, so 7 AM to 10 PM, 65 decibels out the property line. Now, that's to a residential septic.
What does
So,
that mean?
meaning the park is in between the Bunnell residence and the pool property, so it's measured at the residential property.
Just much further away than right next door.
So you're saying that so let's say the closest residence on Bunnell, their backyard, their lot line in the back, which is basically that walking path closest over there. It's gotta be less than 65 decibels there.
During from 7 AM to 10 PM.
And has to be nothing other than ambient outside of those hours, 50?
50 between 10 PM and 7 AM.
And then the same thing would apply to the back of the apartments on that side, correct?
Whoever's close. I gotta say, listening to somebody else's music all day, it's just not fair. I don't care what level it is. I mean, I hear, for example, the car show. It is not my kind of music, and they start it, and it's on a Saturday night, and I'm stuck listening to it for several hours. It's not my kind of music. And it's, I can't even imagine having to listen to that all day, 7 days a week, right? Not my music. It's not my taste in music, it's not my music. So I feel very and I don't complain about it because it's once a month on a Saturday night and it's been going on for years. But I can certainly empathize in somebody not wanting to hear for 9 or 10 or 11 hours a day, somebody else's music. Whatever it is. I mean, they may be a classical person and you're listening to 50s music all day, and
That's what we're looking at right now.
Well, doesn't the noise ordinance that you're quoting in the resolution kind of cover that already? Because
That's what we're looking at.
if the decibels, like if my neighbor has a party and the decibel is above 65, they're subject to the same noise ordinance that these guys are subject, aren't they?
65 is a lot.
That was the other question I was gonna ask Jim. Give me a lawnmower, leaf blower equivalent, what's 65?
So, I don't know, do you remember, we've all heard this before.
What's the decibel for the marching band at Karen's house? Who's closest to the,
Do not play the bass drums.
If you're hearing that music at the level of your doctor's office is waiting room all day long, and it's not your music, it's irritating. And that's not loud, and I'm sympathetic to it.
So, you know, it sounds like they've got some. They're already testifying the early morning hours or no music anymore. And so we're really talking about this kind of like noon to 8. It's still 8 hours. It's still 8 hours, right? That may be a reasonable, at least no more than that kind of boundary, but. You know.
See, I don't know that in the zoning code, we have a separate, prohibition on outdoor music. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
Now, we have a noise code that has to be complied with. If somebody violates the noise code, someone can call and file a complaint.
Right.
There's a whole process for that. but-
It's the same as the state.
Right, so
So you're saying we may not have jurisdiction to
I don't
more than
know.
just 65 in there?
They're here for site plan approval. Practical issue, we have residential uses that surround this site.
Right.
If it's a potential nuisance issue that can be avoided with a simple restriction that we're not gonna play music, I think the board can.
Yeah, their testimony is that they want to be able to have some music out there. We're hearing from not just our own opinions, we're hearing at least from one resident that all nonstop all the time is a bit much, and that levels where it had been before. You'd have no idea at what levels it was before.
When the pool was open and it closed in 2017, earbuds and iPods and all the other stuff everybody's listening to now through Bluetooth were not prevalent
Right.
a decade ago, right? Now everybody's got their own music in their own ears. So everything's different than it was a decade ago regarding how people listen to music. So let them bring their own freaking AirPods and.
But my concern is that if we make that, if we make that the condition, we're then gonna have 50 families.
Yeah.
Own individual little Bluetooth powered speaker play all the different.
Near.
So you can't swoop it out. Yeah. Sorry.
I will say like, it's different, it's private, like at Elfwest, they play music, and it's different there, but at the Elfwest, Elfwest outdoor pool, they play music, and a lot of times we're like, where's music?
Elfwest doesn't have any houses around it.
No, right,
Except for parking, except for
they have all the
states.
parks. Yeah, exactly, so
Right.
it's totally different, but I will just say, like,
Alright.
at a pool setting,
I'm trying.
there is, yeah, so it's there, it could be some kind of compromise. Yes, like, yeah.
So what have you got?
50 decibels is a quiet library. 60 decibels is a quiet office. 65 is normal conversation. 75 is evacuating.
So, all right, so if that's the case, if 65 is normal conversation, it means that if you are on Benell Street or in the or in Prospect Apartments, you really should not be hearing the music being played if they're complying with the sound ordinance.
Well, I think that's where the noise study probably makes sense.
So I think it is, I think then if that's what it is, then I think we could live behind the existing noise ordinance should be more than adequate.
Which is why a noise study wouldn't be required.
And then if there's a complaint, and that falls under police jurisdiction as opposed to our stuff.
So I feel like to some extent, this could be a compromise where, you know, the speakers are not placed right at the fence line.
Right.
Or
Yes.
maybe it's a conversation of throwing in a few more trees along the fence, like stuff to help deafen.
Well, I think that's the point, is instead of us mandating what they can play and when they can play it, we've already got a noise ordinance. And what we do have control over is, the direction of the speakers, and we can require our planners to kind of, you know, you're gonna be reviewing I guess the building department would be reviewing what the placement of the speakers, somebody would be, and it's to their, well, they have to get an electrical permit to put up, to do that, so somebody's gonna be reviewing the direction of those speakers and that they're not,
So-
you know, they're pointed, or we just put a simple note that says they must be directed inward as opposed to out, like, toward the property line, they should be projected
Karen's got
toward
a
the
hand.
center.
Good, Karen.
How do you word
Well,
that?
just a suggestion, per the member of the public, I'm sorry, I didn't catch his name. Couldn't we say that as part of the opening that they had to do a specific noise survey to prove when they could have the speakers go in at the operational thing, and we could ask for a noise study at the fence lines of Bunnell Street properties to be done and to prove that it's below 65 at that point, and that would help satisfy their concerns, and then that's the operating situation. Can we impose that?
The problem is that our conditions are done before they pull permits, not before they're like fully running, unless we make it a condition of a final CO.
I mean, listen,
That's-
we
that's-
could do that, we could certainly do that, but that doesn't help ongoing, so when the study is done, it could be fine, but then 3 days later, it could not be. I think that if we think about a condition that says that speakers shall be directed within the property and not outside the boundaries of the property. And I don't know if you guys want to look at it to see the exact locations, because we could have them
Yeah.
submit something showing the exact proposed locations that you have to.
That could work.
I think we can work it out. My sense is also based on the testimony that we heard from the applicant that they want to be a good neighbor. If people have an issue with the level of music, my guess is they're gonna address it.
Dennis, you have a hand.
I agree with what Jim just said. I think they need to be compliant with the borough ordinance, and to me, we should leave it at that.
Okay, so I think we've got direction of professionals to review and borough noise ordinance. Okay, that was one. Two is the timing of the lighting in the parking lot. And we've got testimony that the operational hours end at 8 PM. We've got testimony that in their other facility, it's usually a half hour or so. And I'm looking at like Jay, and like is a 9 PM time or 9:30 PM, like, is that reasonable?
I think 9's reasonable based on the testimony we heard.
I agree. Okay. Is that,
9 o'clock PM.
does the board feel like that's?
Yes.
Jeff,
I don't know, they said it can take up to an hour after sunset. Sunset was 8:30, so that's what we had said, 9:30 during the test. I heard 9:30 during the testimony. I know I heard it. No, I heard that they, yeah,
The only thing I would add to that is, we did talk about, events that could potentially happen outside, so my only concern with the lighting shut off, we're gonna have an event at 10 and we shut off the lights at 9:30, so how do you account for that?
So I think that would be part of the event license application, yeah, because you're asking for lights to stay on. Correct.
So
That's what-
is,
so what I had.
yeah, I mean, look, if it gets dark. The latest it is dark around here is like 9:27, like 9:30. So.
Let's say an hour after sunset, isn't sunset or?
No, because that is part of their operations, because
They're changing the date.
we want a number.
I think we just nailed it then. 9 PM.
Yeah.
Any security lighting is gonna meet the 30% reduction requirement in the ordinance, right? That's
Right.
already
Yeah.
regulated. And anything outside of the special events is captured in the permit, and they'll obviously have permission to leave the lights on a little longer if that's. We've heard that those are rare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
If, just a quick comment with respect to security lighting, could you note like the difference between the two, just so that we have that noted with respect to the.
Karen, did you have another comment? I'm sorry. Mr. Hancock.
It is.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I was concerned with some of the questions that came up that we were only going to. I'm pleased we're going to say 9 o'clock at least, if not 9:30 at the latest. Mainly for the safety and security of people working at the pool. Like 15 minutes after closing, they could have some issue that they need to stay longer, and I certainly don't want younger members that tend to be the lifeguards having to leave that spot with no lighting. So I'm pleased to see what the suggestion is from Jim that at least 9 o'clock. And that could be the latest. 9:30 could be the absolute latest until it goes to security lighting, for instance, for their safety.
That's why I said 9:30 to begin with.
Okay.
I mean, does the board want 9 or 9:30 is what I'm
Doesn't
asking.
really matter. Really.
I mean, I heard testimony that typically people are out by 8:30.
Right, that's-
So.
For sufficient.
9, okay. Lighting, noise. PA announcements, what else was on your list, Karen?
I had the, PA, public announcements, emergencies only, and swim meet. Any swim meet limitations.
So-
Doing one at a time.
Yeah.
Because I'm checking these off, but I wrote down this whole list.
So the swim meets, we had testimony that the season runs like June through the beginning of July. The testimony is that currently at Deer Path, there are 4, season home meets, which I think is kind of consistent with what we were hearing.
I thought the testimony was just fun.
Yeah.
4 times, maximum 4 times like a summer, about once every 2 weeks.
I'm concerned about us putting a condition about limiting the level of operation, but it seems like the concern is addressed with what the testimony was. And the other concern is, sounds like unless they get cooperation with Rufus, it's gonna stay Deer Path anyway. Which, given Rufus operations in June, year-end stuff, they may not be able to accommodate that.
I think,
over the.
I think it was less about the meets than it was about the PA system. And that the endless banter and announcements. And and also not necessarily using, well, we're not guns anymore, but whistles and using something visual instead. I think that would satisfy, I think, most of the concerns. It's really, I don't think it's really about the number of meets, it's all the noise.
Well, it's not like I don't think they're outsourcing their pool for other teams to use. I think that would be the concern, it's just for the one team, but that's why it's it's maybe once a week for the season.
Don't all these things all fall under the noise ordinance?
They would certainly fall under the noise ordinance, so I think we're covered there, as well. Karen?
Yeah, I don't want to see us restricting the possibility of them having meets there, because it'd be a great community resource for people to be able to have a local swim meet rather than going up to Deer Path. That some people may have more access than they would normally. And also it's a great way to encourage people to be in town, and they would maybe hang out in town afterwards or beforehand and utilize our wonderful borough businesses. So I don't want to see us restricting anymore. Obviously they've got to talk with Rufus about whether they can do it, but I don't want to see us restricting it necessarily on our end if we can possibly not do.
Absolutely right.
Okay, so I think we've covered that. What else is on your list, Kara?
Public announcements.
I think we covered, it's covered under the noise ordinance as well, and again, where position of the speakers is covered as well, right? Okay, all right,
That's all I have.
that's all you have. Is there anything?
Where is it? Because I'm also being well, she had, the lights, noise study, the endless announcements, I think that was his list.
Yeah.
I think so.
ESS and electronic board, but those are things we're kind of beyond what we can do about pumping and or, okay. All right, so. I know Mike's ready to vote, but,
Me too.
All right, and I thank the board for going long, so that we could, have this discussion, all in one shot, so, we think we've got everything there, okay, is there a motion?
Sorry, I pause just for 1 second, just want to clarify something with my professional.
Well, we're done with public, you can't put anything on the record.
I understand, I
So,
understand.
you want him back in the room, we can wait, but all right, so is there a motion?
People heart will move.
So there's a motion and a second to grant approvals with the waivers and conditions that we have outlined. Call the roll.
Mayor Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Campion. Council Vice President Engelhardt.
Yes.
Mr. Dosh.
Yes.
Ms. Giffen.
Yes.
Mr. Schlanger.
Yes.
Mr. Schob.
Yes.
Ms. Swingle.
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman.
Yes.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can't wait to, we don't care about your branch.
So.
No, that's, no, we serve.
All right.
She got the jokes.
All right.
Got it.
I got it. So, to move things along, under item 10 on the agenda, chair items, I'm going to, say that we're gonna have a discussion of the shade tree ordinance at our next meeting. Is that, you'll be ready, Jim, for that as well? Okay, our next meeting is on July 28th. I will let everybody know that we have, how do you say it? That they're on the schedule. We have our conflict counsel because Kara's not available, so that's really the only substantive item I'd like for us to have on that agenda, although we do have these other kind of reports to do. I do want those reports. Kara, if you could even zoom in for just the professional reports or have something written up.
What I was planning on doing was
Yeah.
having it for distribution, so everybody can have it or look at it for one. And I will have a couple other ancillary resolutions.
Okay.
So I'll have the one from the extension, I feel like there's one other one.
Okay.
We did these, Georgia, complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a while ago, right?
Can we possibly put the reports at the beginning, because Mayor and I are both not able to vote on those.
True.
Are we
Right,
ready?
is that that?
It's abuse. I think it's.
Yeah, it wasn't originally, and then it was, so I was kind of surprised when it came
So-
down, but.
So
can
we can.
move that to the beginning of the agenda?
Well-
end of the agenda, or?
No, we're gonna have, it'll all be under professional reports, including shade tree. So it'll be before the public hearing.
Okay, that's,
So it'll be the first, that's our normal order.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's the 28th, August 11th, August 25th, I'm not sure if we've been. Yeah, right,
No.
so that's where we're at.
Yeah, I'm assuming we'll probably have first aid.
At some point, the first aid squad is gonna finish what they're doing and come back, we haven't heard, they haven't gotten anything from them yet,
No,
so keep asking.
Yep.
We haven't got anything from them, so.
well,
That's,
they know it's on.
audit bills, get a motion.
Second.
Roll.
Mayor Carroll.
Yes.
Council Vice President Engelhardt.
Yes.
Mr. Dashna.
Yes.
Ms. Giffen.
Yes.
Mr. Schlanger.
Yes.
Mr. Schob.
Yes.
Ms. Swingle.
Yeah.
Ms. Weitzman.
Yes.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Thank you.
We need to go to executive session.
Yep.
Motion adjourned. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Kane, second. Thank you, have a good night. I thank you all for the extra 20 minutes.
Well, it was worth.
No, that was
just-
definitely
yeah,
worth it.
yeah.
Yeah.